Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in to Playoffs Day 2 for Marble Rivals Ignite Stage 1 Oceania. My name is Matzy, and I'm coming here live with none other than Profound Rise.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here again, Matzy. I had a wonderful time yesterday, the first day of playoffs, and I am so excited to be here for this second day. And today is going to be really interesting because there's a lot of rivalries being built up in this tournament, and we're about to get a rematch of some of the most exciting and biggest rivalries we've had so far.
Oh yeah, we get to run it back just like we did in the group stage there. You know, we got Kanga taking on GZ there. We got the Vicious taking on Bethany in the lower bracket. It is going to be a day of deja vu, so to speak. You know, it's like, I feel like I've been here before, and now we're back. It's going to be absolutely crazy, and I feel like, you know, considering the teams have versed each other before, we might see a bit of a different result this time. I think they've gone back in the lab again, you know, they're cooking up a new recipe in terms of how to place against one another, and I reckon it is going to be a thriller show today.
No, I completely agree. Of course, a lot of these teams will definitely be practicing and scrimming and cooking up something, but you know what else is cooking? You know who else is cooking? It is, of course, NetEase with their Ignite Twitch drops. Twitch drops will be live with the Marvel Rivals Ignite 2025. Watch selected Twitch channels to earn exclusive rewards, including spray, nameplate, emote, and the gorgeous magic Will of Galacta costume. It is already live right now, so you are collecting your drops right now, and it'll be ending on July 16th.
Oh yeah, get involved with that one. That is an amazing costume right there. I'm almost close to it myself. But you know what else is going to be on the deck right now? It is going to be your time to charge your might and spark up the battlefield to full ignition. Channel eternal glory and bring on the heat with Iron Fists, Binary Fist, and Moon Knight's Phoenix Knight costumes. Embrace the chi and rise from the ashes in style. It is available right now, and, you know, it's going to be available all the way through. But great stuff coming out there, and definitely excited to get involved with those costumes. We love them.
Absolutely, indeed. They're absolutely gorgeous costumes, and, I mean, Liger is in here. It's just us two today, but Liger absolutely loves this costume and got it straight away. Don't blame him at all. It looks absolutely amazing. But today is going to be an absolute amazing day today, Matzy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there. Today is going to have action-packed matches all the way around. You know, we get to have a bit of deja vu there. Get to see the Group A teams face off against one another once again at Kanga and Ground Zero. And we get to see the Group B teams face off against one another once again in Bethany and the Vicious there. So very excited to see what they are going to be able to pull through with here. You know, I'm really hopeful, especially in the Bethany game, that they can at least take a map off the Vicious, because, you know, it just I just love an underdog story. I just want to see the team which has the odds stacked against them pull through with something. And as you can see here from our schedule, we've ran through the group stage. We are into playoffs at the moment. Day number 2 of playoffs, and tomorrow is going to be the grand final. I can't believe it. How quick time's gone.
Yeah, time has gone extremely quick, Matzy. Group stage was super exciting. 4 full packed days where every team in one group versus each other. And then now those two groups are colliding. And, well, even though we say that they're colliding, it's kind of funny because, well, we still have Group A versus Group B, Group A versing each other and Group B versing each other. The prize pool, though, is super exciting. 75,000 in total.
It sure is, Ricey. We got 75,000 US dollars in total there. First place going to take away a 30,000 USD. Second place, 15,000. Third place, 9,000. And a fourth place, 6,000 there. Fifth to sixth, 4,500. And seventh to eighth, 3,000 there. So get excited for who's going to find their way into those prizes later. But in terms of what we get our way into today, we have our best of 5 endeavors here. It is going to be upper bracket finals, Ground Zero taking on Kanga, followed by lower bracket semifinals, Bethany taking on the Vicious. Now, important to note, the games in our finals so far are going to be best of 5s, but tomorrow, the grand final is going to be a best of 7 endeavor. This is the longest series we will have access to yet before our champion of Stage 1 Oceania is crowned.
Yeah, very exciting things happening here in the playoffs in Oceania. And of course, we'll be starting with Ground Zero versus Kanga, which is our upper bracket finals. But later, between Bethany and the Vicious, someone will be going home. Someone will be claiming that 4th spot. They do get a decent prize pool, of course, but we do unfortunately have to say goodbye to somebody today, and it could be either of those teams. Ground Zero, the first team up, is absolutely stacked. We've been talking a lot about these team members. 6 on the Hella and the Hit Scan, FMCL on the Wolverine, Duep as well on the Magneto, Zed Starry, well known for the groups, and of course, the strategists, King Bob and Maddie AF, doing phenomenal work.
Absolutely. Doing fantastic work across the board there. We got storied players on that side, but you know what else we got? We got storied players on Kanga Esports as well. Chronix over there on the Spider-Man. I'd be keen to see that if they brought out the Ultron. But Skittles going to be on the Rocket Raccoon there. Furikake on the Jeff. Daxer on the Black Panther. I want to see that too. The Black Panther Assassin. Absolute crazy stuff. Thor going to be coming out from Texie there, and Donald with the Penny Parker. Thor is one we don't see much across some of the other regions in Ignite, but it is one that we have seen pop out from time to time in Oceania. But you know what else we're going to see in Oceania? It's Bethany.
Yeah, Bethany, one of the 2 teams that are in the lower brackets today. Potentially might be the last time we'll be seeing them in this Marvel Rival Ignite tournament. And what a lineup. Jag, Bubble, Liam, Soupy, Potato, Oink, and of course the subs, Azzy and Ash. They look phenomenal so far in the tournament so far, and minimum they'll get 4th place, but I'm sure they still want that 1st place. If they win today and tomorrow, of course, as well, they could still make it. But so can the Vicious. They also do not want to get eliminated today.
Absolutely not. Do not want to get eliminated there, and we'll see which team will rise or fall, because the Vicious, they got Revsy, Netra, Rib, Adam, Lumi, Atlas, and Asher there as their squadron, and they have been putting on a really solid show. I got a bit scared yesterday watching their game, and I'm really keen to see if they can redeem themselves today and maybe have another chance to face off against the likes of Kanga, or maybe could be Ground Zero. But we'll see how things go.
Definitely have to see how things go, Matty. It's going to be an exciting day, and we're starting to see the shape of our standings start to form here, where today we get to find out who is going to be 4th place. And in saying that as well, we do know that Kanga and Ground Zero, they are both minimum going to be getting 3rd place in this tournament. So they are in the top 3. But of course, all of these teams are top 4 already, making it to the playoffs. I'm sure they're very, very proud of themselves, and I'm excited to see more of what they can show us.
Absolutely, and that goes to show that they are going to lock in any one of these teams at least 6,000 USD. So definitely got their eyes on the prize there, but obviously they're going to be gunning to place a bit higher than that. Bethany, they got a lot to prove today, being the underdog team out of the teams that did make it through to playoffs here. I'm definitely excited to see how far they can push themselves, because they had a pretty rough gig yesterday. It was really tough watching their matchup, and I'm hopeful that today is their chance to really prove themselves. They faced the Vicious previously in the group stage there, I think on the last day of group stage, and it was a rough endeavor. But now they've got their chance to run it back, take some of the lessons they learned from their last part of the journey, and bring them into today to try and redeem themselves here. So great to see that. But, it's a similar story with Kanga and Ground Zero. Kanga on the losing side of that one in the past, but maybe now that we're in the present, we might see Kanga look to bring a little bit more heat this time.
Every single time, not every single time. Yesterday, I was saying the Vicious was going to be winning. That was my prediction. And Kanga proved me wrong. So I'm excited to see them prove me wrong again today. Because if we're going to be talking about predictions, Matsy, I'm so sorry, Hayes. I'm so sorry, Kanga. But I will, in fact, be thinking that Ground Zero might be taking this. They still have not dropped a single map. But in saying that the fact that they haven't dropped a single map, I do think Kanga will be taking maps away from Ground Zero today. They have been working really hard and they looked really good yesterday. Not sure what was, maybe they've warmed up from group stage and today they might put up a really big fight and take revenge.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there, Rice. I think that, you know, obviously the teams have been cooking some things up in the lab. They don't want to give away everything in the group stage there. So now we're seeing some little hints at some of the real strategies, so to speak, that some of the teams have been cooking up there. Like I think we saw the thing come out yesterday from Kanga, so that was exciting to see because that's definitely a viable option when you want to deal with some of those shield vanguards. So great to see that they're starting to really dig deep into the lab there and just bring out their big guns. But yeah, I think in terms of predictions, Ground Zero definitely looking strong on paper against Kanga again. But given that they did face off against each other in the recent past, you know, I think that Kanga's going to take a lot from that. And I'm sure they've been doing VOD review, watching back some of the past streams there. And I think there will be definitely some countermeasures put in place. And I think there's going to be a big focus heading into the pick, ban, protect phase there to see exactly how they maneuver it. But predictions, I'm thinking on paper right now, it could be potentially 3 maps to 1 in Ground Zero against Kanga. I think that that's pretty safe there. But, you know, with Kanga having that chance to reflect, they could prove themselves and maybe take a bit more.
So before we started broadcast today, when Matty and I were talking, I was also predicting 3-1, but I've decided I'm changing my mind and I'm going to go 3-2. I think Kanga could maybe take 2 maps off Ground Zero today. As you were mentioning, they've been cooking up a lot, bringing out the thing. I'm sure there are more strategies that they could take Ground Zero by storm with, so I'm excited to see what happens there. I also I don't know, I feel like this may also be potentially our grand finals, like a preview to our grand finals as well. We saw it in group stage and they're in the same group. We're probably going to be seeing it here today. I'm predicting a little too far in the future here, I'm sure, but I could see whoever dropping out into the lower brackets here, making it through the lower brackets and bringing us into the grand finals too. So I think personally, this is a sneak peek into our grand finals.
Well, you know, we'll get to find out, I suppose, by the end of the day or by tomorrow. As a matter of fact, whether your prediction could come true, you know, whether we do see the Ground Zero Kanga story continue, you know, it's going to be a story in 3 parts, I suppose, if that's the case. You know, we've seen them face off in the group stage. Now we get to see them face off again in the playoff stage, and they could face off again into the grand final there. My gosh, it'll be a story of cracking impacts, you know, just going again.
We got a best of 3, now a best of 5, and potentially, I mean, we're all just like putting all of our eggs in one basket though, to be fair. There's so many conditions, of course, for them to both of these 2 teams to make it to the grand finals together. But yeah, best of 7 between these 2 teams would be absolutely phenomenal. And you mentioned the Kraken impact. Oh my, yeah, we've seen so many Kraken impacts. We've been seeing so many agains and agains and agains, not just in these 2 teams, but across the entire tournament. And they have been so exciting and phenomenal.
Absolutely, and I really hope that we can see a bit more of those delivered, you know, into the rest of our journey here in the playoff stage as well. I know that we're seeing, you know, some different, I guess, splits of characters coming out there. You know, we're picking into some different heroes. I did enjoy how yesterday we saw Psylocke make a bit of an appearance again. I really do admire the use of the Psylocke there. You know, having that flanking potential as one of our duelists there, really just great to see. You know, they're changing up how they want to approach each of the maps here, so it's great that we're seeing diversified tactics come out from each of our rosters, because at this point sometimes you can't just stick to your default. You know, you can't stick to tried and tested. You have to try and go off the beaten path, so to speak, and yeah, really just catch your opponent by surprise.
No, I've been loving seeing all the different strategies that these teams have been bringing out. We've been seeing flying meta. We've been seeing very grounded meta as well, and dive. We've been seeing quite a lot too. And yeah, it's been absolutely amazing, you know, with so many different variety coming out, like the Thing, which is the first time we saw. We've been talking about the Thing quite a lot, I feel like, but it's just a pretty big surprise, I would say. I'm not quite sure though if it was just for that specific map, so we might not be seeing it again today, depending on how, of course, the maps go. But if whoever wins whoever loses the first map gets to choose the next map and choose the side that they want to start on. So you never know. If they go back and forth, we might be able to see the thing if the Kanga brings it out. But imagine if Ground Zero also brings it out. I want to know what Ground Zero will be cooking up, because we've been seeing sort of the similar meta from Ground Zero throughout the days. I want to know what they are cooking up too.
Yeah, well, you know, if they both bring out the thing, that's going to be a whole lot of clobbering time, to say the least there. So definitely excited for what that could bring. You know, I'm curious if they might be able to just pop off that ultimate at the same time. Then I guess the whole ground just comes to a standstill. You know, I'd love to see that. It's like the time that the map stands still, just frozen in tension, and then we get straight back into it. Definitely would be awesome to see. But I guess what else would be awesome to see is that Black Panther come out. You know, some more of those diversified picks. I think Black Panther definitely has a lot of potential, especially in the right hands there. You know, I think that it can really be quite a thorn in the side of a lot of teams if they aren't able to deal with it. You know, if all eyes are faced forward and no one's looking back, then Black Panther can rain down absolute mayhem on your team in the back lane there. So very curious to see if something like that might come out of the mix there, whether we see Mr. Fantastic come out with the Brainiac bounce, you know.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of potential on the horizon here, but it's going to be up to the teams as to what they bring out on the given day. And I guess on the upper side of the bracket, you know, I think maybe we might see still some more of that tried and tested approach there, considering if they do lose here, they still have a chance to progress through to the grand final tomorrow.
True.
Whereas the Vicious and Bethany, this is make or break for them. If they lose here, their run is done.
That is true. Yeah, this is basically, if you lose here, for these two teams, they have one extra chance. They can make it through the lower brackets and play again tomorrow. But here we go between Ground Zero and Kanga. And look at Kanga Esports. The thing is essentially their mascot at this point. Kangaroos are out. The thing is in.
We love to see it. We love to see it. And we are going to be getting in the bands right now. Let's see what is cooking up here. We have none other than Ember Frost banned out, Loki banned out, and are going to be protected for Kanga Esports there. So dangerous. Got a Mischief. Going to be the one online there. But you know what is online for the other side of things? Ground Zero have got Magneto. They're banned it out. Ember Frost are going to be banned out as well. But there's no Captain online, and there's no Ultron online for Ground Zero here. So good stuff coming through.
Absolutely. We've seen, of course, these Vanguard... Wait, the Captain America is very interesting. But we've seen the other Vanguards, Emma Frost and Magneto, being banned out multiple times. Loki as well is a very common ban, a very respectful ban as well. But yeah, the Captain America, we've been seeing a little bit of Captain America quite a lot recently. And I think Kanga Esports has played it quite a few times. Punisher as a ban wouldn't be a surprise, but they are going to be looking in Mantis. That is the one that they are settling on. I think that is a fair ban because Mantis with the damage, and you know, damage helps a lot with taking out quite a lot of key heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely does enhance the roster there and give them a lot of potential, you know, to pick off a lot of characters nice and quickly there. But speaking of characters, we are seeing some locks in right now. We do have FMCL locking down the Winter Soldier. So talking on cracking impacts earlier, looks like we might just be jumping into it with that right now. Punisher online here too. Duep going to be bringing out Magneto, Cloak and Dagger, Luna Snow, and Groot for Zenstari. Definitely one that's found a lot of power there. But speaking of power, Kanga bringing out the power with Psylocke. We got Skittles on Loki there, Hulk coming out for Donald, Texi on the Strange, and Furikake on Luna Snow. But one that I don't think we've seen too much of, but I am loving the fact they're bringing it out, is Chronix on the Namor. Hello and welcome.
No, I completely agree. We haven't really seen Namor very often. And of course, Hulk is joining this composition as well. I don't think we've seen Hulk much or even at all from my memory. And that is a team up. The squids are so annoying when they are teamed up.
Absolutely. Going to be a lot of trouble dealing with the Gamma Squids there. And definitely excited to see what they can cook up here as we burst out the gates. It's portal time from Kanga Texi. Trying to see if they can spot anybody nearby. They do have good scope of how Ground Zero are approaching it now, so it's good they can strategically wait on the portal and dive straight into it as we get into our first fight. KO going to be coming down. Cloak and Dagger is out of here. Goodbye, Maddie, and potentially Lunar Snow as well, but you know what is online? It's Black Panther, and King Bob is out of here. Daxu is wreaking havoc right now, but does get KO'd out. So both teams trading blows, but Kanga land on the mission area.
Kanga does win that fight, and we've seen Kanga do this a few times yesterday as well with that portal play. The portal play from Texas being able to split the team in half. And Ground Zero, unfortunately, was split in half, which meant that Kanga Esports was able to take a lot of KOs, pick off who exactly they wanted to pick off. And with that, they won the fight, and now they have control of the point, but Ground Zero is back. And look at that turret on 6 doing a lot of damage onto the enemy in 6. Oh, we've seen that aim, we've seen that hit scan do so much work, but the Squids are out to play, and now there is a copy from Skittles, and Skittles is going to try and keep everyone alive with us against the world, I believe, and it's working. Daxu, Donald, so many punches, so many knockouts. It's absolutely fantastic what they've done here today. To this fight here, and it's looking incredible from them. And now they are already halfway through, 50% on the board. And look at that, another winning fight for Kanga Esports, but look at the ultimates as well. 4 online for Kanga Esports. That's the Lunar Snow ultimate, as well as the whale. This is our first time going to be seeing the whale here in Oceania, so I'm excited to see how Chronix plays this out. Whether or not they want to combo it with the Eye of Agamotto from Texi is going to be absolutely exciting to see how it works.
Couldn't agree with you more there. Definitely excited to get that one online, but Final Judgment is going to be online right now. 6, King Bob comboing the Duelist and Strategist ultimates there. Strangling Prison coming out. Cracking impact. It's all hands on deck from Ground Zero right now, but they're having a lot of trouble against Kanga here. They do manage to find a couple of KOs through though. Cracking impact, finding its impact. Oh, they're tracking down Daxu right now. They're bouncing around that pylon and will be able to get the KO through in the air. So control going to be seized in the air for Ground Zero. They're really solid combination of ultimates. Kanga try and respond, but Ground Zero bite back.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the whale from Chronix there in that fight, but we might be able to see it coming up soon. But 99% for Kanga Esports, they were able to get that overtime trigger, so Ground Zero have to win every single fight here if they won this round. And looking at their ultimates, they have literally nothing available to use. All they had to dispose with in that last fight to grab and flip that point, Duet getting extremely low, has to come back into safety. And now Skittles, with that ultimate, is able to copy and get in there to help their team. They are using Fate of both worlds, and it is successful as takes against 1, gets 2. Kanga Esports are turning the tide. They are claiming this point, and Eye of Agamotto is going to get to both the Vanguards. Both Dueb and Zansari are locked and stunned out. Dueb getting dangerous, will be taken out by Skittles, and with that, Kanga Esports are claiming the point and claiming the first round.
Great stuff coming through from them there. OT timer trickling down quickly as can be. So, a great hold from Kanga to secure their first step on this map of Krakoa here. And we go from the carousel straight in through the cradle. But will it be a gentle endeavor? I'm not so sure, as this has been a bumpy ride so far, and it's only going to get wilder as we pace our way through here. But definitely excited for what's to come as we see FMCL bringing out the Storm here. Omega Hurricane online definitely could allow some flexibility, allow some presence to try and take them out nice and quickly here. But are they going to be able to find exactly what they're looking for? This is going to be their true test in these next 20 seconds.
Yep, 20 seconds until the doors open, and my goodness, Kanga Esports looking very strong, just looking at those stats as well. Lots of eliminations, lots of knockouts for themselves. And Skittles currently the MVP with all those assists as well. being able to copy key ultimates at key times, I think is one of the deciding factors for Kenga Esports to be able to take that first round.
Here we go. Jumping into it, it's portal time again. Zenstari playing strategically now. Does manage to pay straight into it. Not going to be able to catch Kanga off guard, though. They anticipated this, and they are going to space themselves out. But 6, not allowing much space at all. The shotguns are blasting away right now. And they will be able to find the KOs through. But you know what else is getting KOs? It's Daxu slipping through the cracks there, pushing ahead. A Fate of Both Worlds online from Furakake as well. So Kanga getting big presence here. And Texi locking it down. I love that delayed KO onto Duep as well. Yep. You know they're playing mind games on this one. They want to stagger out those KOs and delay them from getting back to the point.
Yeah, a bit of a stagger. Really good strategy coming out from Kanga Esports there, and they were able to cap the point. They did lose their first player in that initial fight, but I'm not sure if the portal was still up and they were able to get back in time very quickly. But once Ground Zero started losing players, it was just leading the way of Kanga Esports. But now they have 4 ultimates available. Ground Zero actually could have 6 with 94 and 87% available as well, and it's going to be either going to be used by Texi first up. Chronix also being comboing it with the whale, not able to get anybody though, as Fate of Both Worlds from King Bob is online and in play. 6 now, punishing everyone, punishing in particular Texi, who is now back in the spawn. But Chronix on the squids with the spears, takes down 2, but it's a trade, and more than a trade. As now Ground Zero are in the lead with the player advantage. Out comes Amido, doesn't find anyone, but the Donald, the Hulk, the Monster Hulk finds 1, finds 2. And Kanga Esports are still in play, they're still going. Either going to be used by... no, it didn't get used. That was a close one there. But Kanga Esports still in control.
Still in control. I'm really impressed how they navigated that one too, because Ground Zero, they had big focus around those strategists there, you know, dropping the Omega Hurricane. You could tell they were trying to drop down their utility, trying to drop down the healing capabilities as quick as they could, but Kanga just playing chess while they're playing checkers right now and really getting on top of things. But speaking of, another fight on the way, 80% for Kanga here. Ground Zero looking to go from 0 to heroes here. Skittles is in trouble, does get KO'd out. Let's see if they can keep themselves alive with the Fate of Both Worlds though. Oh, Chronic, see you later. Hi, Bagamoto coming out there as well. It's a bit of trouble, but they're still alive. They're still kicking. But I don't know if they're going to be able to hold much longer, Rise.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to hold on. 6 tries to ult snare, but it's going to be stunned out. And Texi takes him out with another, and there's an eye of Agamotto. It is going crazy onto King Bob, but I mean, FMCL is still in play, but not for much longer. Now taking out Kanga Esports in overtime. Time is ticking. Here is the first map. This could be the first map that Ground Zero is losing in Ignite. With overtime ticking away, it is Kanga Esports claim Krakoa and claim victory over Ground Zero.
Oh yeah, just look at that. They play a superb masterclass of how to outmaneuver your opponents there. A solid dominating control was taken by Kanga there. Texi going to be the MVP on that one. And, you know, I loved a big shout out to Kanga's coach, Hades there in the chat. I did see some chatter there from Hades saying, hey, casters, you know, you have a chance to change your predictions, so you better get on top of that. And, it looks like Kanga are going to take that first map with big confidence. So, you know, I think Hades is very confident in his own team there. And I think they might be looking to prove us wrong, but, you know, both of us were leaning towards that 3-1 for Ground Zero. So that's one map, but, you know, if it keeps going like that, it could be a bit more than just one map there, right? So this match already looking to spice up.
It definitely very, very spicy. The rivalry between these two Australian org-based teams is super exciting. Ground Zero and Kanga, they both have a lot of history, a lot of years in other esports, and now here in Marvel Rivals, they are versing off against each other again. And ooh, it's getting spicy. Last time they versed off in the group stage, it was a best of 3, and Ground Zero 2-0'd them. Now, with this one though, it is a best of 5. Things change a little bit. It's a bit more spicy. And it's super exciting seeing Kanga Esports try different things. We saw the Black Panther. You were saying, hopefully we get to see the Black Panther. And I'm a bit real, Mancy. I doubted you. I was like, no, there's no way. No way. But they did. They brought out the Black Panther.
Yeah, and branching off on that as well there, Bryce, I believe that, into the group stage, you want to keep some of your cards hidden still. So I think that maybe Kanga were playing a bit of a strategic game, playing into some more of the default picks there, just playing around the meta a little bit, not branching out, because they wanted to keep some of their cards hidden until the playoff stage here. And now that that grand final slot is on the line there, they're looking to bring out the big guns here. They don't want to have to play again tomorrow. They want to just push for that grand final slot as soon as they possibly can.
Exactly. Tomorrow, if one of these two teams lose here, one of them will have to lose here. And if they manage still to win tomorrow morning, I don't know what time it is exactly. I'm not casting tomorrow. I'm sure you know what time it is.
Similar time.
It's similar time. I think it's 1 p.m. instead of the 2 p.m. start. That's right. So they would have to start at 1 p.m. and play a best of 5 against whoever wins in a loser bracket, and then participate in a best of 7. It's going to be extremely tiring, but if they win here, they can get that ticket straight to the grand finals.
Yeah, really going to be trying to come that way through, just like our players in our highlight here. Like, I love the Kraken impacts in this moment. FMCL playing around the pillar there, just really having a bit of a troublesome time with Daxu. Six hit some great shots on that final judgment as well. Really was able to take down a lot of their supporting members, to say the least, and great to see that they are going to be able to whittle down those forces one after the other. But I'm sure that this isn't the end of the impact we're going to be seeing from both teams, because they both looked so fired up, but Kanga just seemed to be playing that long game there. They're always playing around that mission objective. It doesn't matter so much for them around the KOs, as long as they can hold on to the mission area and build up that percentage as much as possible. And I guess that just goes down to their experience, across multiple titles. And they've really showcased exactly how much game sense they have to bring to the table there.
That is a good point. That portal from Strange, from Taxi, from Kanga onto Point, being able to divide up the team and get them that first fight win really helped lock in, especially for that first round, them getting that 99% pretty early on, because then they were able to keep that team fight going, keep control of that point for the entire time. So that was really well played, utilizing the Strange and utilizing the portal in a way that guarantees them that fight win.
That's right, and definitely excited for how things are going to be going down heading into our next map here. I reckon it's going to be a bit of an eye-opener, especially for the side of Ground Zero. I think that they're going to be a bit shaken up, especially after finding such a commanding result in the group stage. They'll be thinking, whoa, what's going on here? I mean, we even heard that confidence in some of our player interviews over the past week. They've really seemed fired up and confident against the likes of Kanga, but now Kanga bringing out some of the big guns, some of the real strategies behind closed doors there. Like, I'd love to see that Black Panther, I talked about it at the start of the day, and here it is. It's loud and proud, ready to be seen, and we'd love to see it from a Daxu and Co. But while we get things set up for map 2, everybody, we are going to be heading into a quick break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back with all this fire.
Trapping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon, and I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for a last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do
Welcome back, everybody, to Marvel Rivals Ignite Oceania Stage 1 Playoffs, day number 2 here. Matsy and Profound Rise coming to you live once again with our first banger series of the upper semifinals here. Kanga taking on Ground Zero, and our first game has been in favor of Kanga. They take that one away in a clean sweep, and they bring out the secret weapons. The Black Panther, they're bringing out all the goods here today, Rice. But it makes me think, what's coming out in game 2?
True. We saw so many exciting plays coming up, so many exciting strategies coming out from Kanga Esports in that first map. I'm wondering if Kanga Esports are happy to show some of their cards, like bringing out the Black Panther this early in this best of 5 series, because they want that momentum. They want that winner's momentum. Winning that first map gives them that, as I keep saying, momentum to keep going. But it's saying that now Ground Zero gets to choose the next map. They get to choose also what side they get to play on as well. So Ground Zero have a bit more of an advantage coming into the second map, and it could get a bit dangerous for Kanga Esports, because now it's Ground Zero's turn to cook something interesting, something spicy up.
Well, if I'm Liger, then I want Moon Knight, and I want to see the Phoenix Rising skin coming out there. But if I'm our players right now, I'm going to be choosing our map, which is going to be Convergence. Hello, Central Park coming out. Okay, we don't see this one all the time, but we have seen plenty of it throughout our playoffs or groups into this one. So definitely eager to see how our upper bracket final goes here into game number 2, as we are going to be picked out onto Central Park by Ground Zero, and very excited to see how this one plays out right now, as we have our maps picked, we have our players locked in, but what we don't have yet, it's our pick, ban, protect phase coming into fruition here. And I'm curious how that landscape transforms in this next one. Maybe Ground Zero are going to be thinking about, maybe Black Panther's something we don't want to deal with, but maybe they're going to be more comfortable coming into this next one. But what do you think, Rice?
Well, I definitely think a lot of the decisions do get made in this pick, ban, protect phase. It's all here where players decide what kind of strategy they want to avoid versing against and what kind of strategy they want to protect. Now, we've seen the thing. We've seen Black Panther. We've seen some very interesting, slightly off meta, but still very strong picks coming out from Kanga Esports so far, and I'm excited to see what they end up doing. But of course, Ground Zero have been considered the giants so far in this tournament, not dropping a single map until today. And Kanga have finally done it. They have taken down Ground Zero a notch, just a little bit. But can they take the entire series?
Yeah, that's going to be the ultimate question there, isn't it? And look at that. All of Kanga are going to be hovering over that Black Panther. They're very keen on that one, it would seem. But you know what? They are keen on. Both teams are keen on Magneto. So LeBronald could be coming out of this one. But you know what isn't coming out? It's Loki and Emma on both sides there. Goodbye to them. But who else do we have to say goodbye to? It could be the Punisher banned out from Ground Zero there. But the torch is being hovered by Kanga here. So interesting to see what comes through. But Luna is actually going to be locked out this time by Ground Zero. And we're not going to see any torch. So it's time for a protect coming out from Kanga here. And one more ban from Ground Zero.
Well, they're all hovering Black Panther, but I'm wondering if they're doing it just to make, put on a show. Give us casters a show. Give you guys a show as well. They did this as well after they played The Thing, which was a bit of a surprise yesterday, and now today they brought out the Black Panther and all the hovers. It's exciting. They also don't want to give us any spoilers before going into the match. Protect is going to be to Cloak and Dagger, and Ground Zero are responding with a Psylocke ban.
Ooh, okay. Definitely don't want to see that one coming out from Kanga. We've seen it before, but we're not going to see it again this time anyway. But, we are going to see it's the Punisher protected there for Ground Zero. So most likely going to be seeing 6 bring that one out. But Ooh, trying to ban out Zenstari's group there. But considering they were already hovering over the thing, looks like they're ready to bring that one out potentially. Not today, though. Looks like the thing going to be coming out from Texie. We've seen the impact of that one before, and we are going to see it again today. Spider-Man hover? Surely not. Surely our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man won't be coming out today unless they have something dangerous cooking up in the lab there. The spectacular spin. Definitely one you don't want to mess with. And if FMCL's bringing this one out, I would love to see it. I don't know if they're going to keep that, though, as we head into the game right now. I'm very curious here, Rise.
I'm very curious as well. What will they actually run? We've been seeing some very interesting hovers, some very interesting things indeed. But Ground Zero being on attack, they can always change at last second. Kanga Esports are starting on defense. So it would be Ground Zero choosing to start on attacking. So I'm excited to see what they bring out here on attack. I'm sure it's going to be exciting on this map here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to be exciting as well. But FMCL will not be our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. They will be the Wolverine coming out this time as well. We aren't going to see the web server either, just getting up that little bit of a shielding before we kick things off. But looks like they are going to be playing the bunker composition around Daxu this time on the Punisher. Just trying to make sure that turret gets some good use as they try and defend the point here. Ground Zero trying to go all the way into the point, though, pushing through the front gates there. Lots of damage already exchanged from our vanguards, as well as strategists here. Ooh, taking a lot of damage to up there. That could be the first KO locked in very, very quickly here, unless their team is able to heal them up quite quickly. But speaking of quickly, we could see them rush in quickly. Eternal Bond going to be online, Rice, and let's kick things off.
Eternal Bond is online by Maddie AF on Ground Zero, and it's meaning Ground Zero gets a push forward and already getting one tick. An aggressive start for the attackers, but Judge Jury is here in Dax's hands, trying to put a lot of damage out, and there are no sustainable ultimates coming out from Ground Zero, so Daxu is shredding through 6. Now going up to MCL, they do manage to survive just barely. Furukaka, their Eternal Bond is now on the ground.
On the ground and ready to push on ahead here. Great stuff coming out from Kanga there, getting a couple of KOs through. Ground Zero did achieve part of their objective, though. They got 1 out of 3 ticks on to the mission area there, so at least they're partway there. They've got 2.5 minutes to try and achieve more, but I mean, Kanga have a lot of pieces of the puzzle to shut them out the door as well. 3 ultimates online right now. Ayabagamoto right around the corner too. We'll see what happens. Omega Hurricane going to be locked in. Final Judgment as well. Here we go. Ground Zero trying to take a stand here. Do find the first KO on the Chronics. Looking to see if they can push their way through as well. They're trading blows one by one here. Doing their best to heave themselves onto this point. King Bob are good with the Fate of Both Worlds as well. And this is exactly what Ground Zero needed. To force Kanga into the retreat there and turn it in to the convoy section of the map. Amazing stuff coming out from Ground Zero and good ult economy there.
Very well played by Ground Zero. You mentioned the ultimate economy, and I agree with that. They were using 3 or 4 ultimates for that fight, but Kanga Esports currently have 0 online. Texi about to get Ayabagamoto. Daxo can get that Punisher ultimate online soon, but Ground Zero have a bit more to work with in this fight, as they want to keep pushing, and Zensar using the Ayabagamoto quite aggressively. Now Texi returning the favor, getting 2 stunned for their efforts. Is that going to be enough, as Eternal Bond is now being in play by Furukaka, keeping all the members of Kanga Esports alive?
Oh yeah, gonna be great to use that. The floor is lava for your enemies, at least there. And speaking of enemies, Kanga's enemies are already going down a notch with 6 taken out there. Does cause a bit of issue, but does have the Meteor M online, so definitely could be something good to use. Kanga Esports, though, 4 ults on the table here. They can certainly buy a bit of time if they need it, but they're doing a great job at holding them at a standstill here on point. It seems not for long, as it will be. Omega Hurricane locked in. Final Judgment as well. Everything coming out here on both sides of the table. No one getting the KOs through, though, so proving to be a state of calamity. But now it's time to fight back.
They are fighting back indeed. Ivakomoto being used by Taxi. Now Meteor by Donald. And it lands on FMC. What a massive dunk coming through for Kenga Esports. And now 3 ultimates from Ground Zero are being used all at the exact same time. 6 being able to take down 1, 2, 3 members of Kenga Esports. Ground Zero are still moving with 2.5 minutes on the clock.
That's right, got a lot of time here, but they need to get to the first stage. Need to get to the halfway point of the map here as Ground Zero continue to push up with Ratatoska there. See how they can navigate this map's mission vehicle all the way through as Kanga now stack up into the choke point. Damage now coming out. Maelstrom of Madness from Taxi there, really trying to dish out that damage around their shields here. And I love how they're forcing them back. But speaking of forcing them back, they've lost a Vanguard now, so Ground Zero really have to reconsider their approach, almost to losing Duep there as well. Really need to hold on to each of their members. Time might not be on their side for so long here. Duep caught a little bit further forward as well. Good opportunity for Kanga, but they're still hiding behind the landscape here.
Yep, using the landscape, using the buildings and rubble as protection. They're able to do this, but for FMCL, with the Hurricane is going in, but there's no punishing ult to counter it, and it's a massive one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5! With 6 as well, contributing it and taking down 2. Massive play from Ground Zero, and with that, they are going to be making it to the next checkpoint.
That they are. Amazing work coming out from our duelists there, using their ultimates in combination and powering ahead for their team to get it past the halfway point here. Exactly what they need at this stage, but it's not going to be such an easy road ahead with Kanga having the final judgment, Invisible Boundary online, Meteor M, Ayavagamoto, and the Omega Hurricane. There's a lot of defensive capability for Kanga right now. I'd be very worried if I was Ground Zero. They want to get their ultimates back on as soon as possible. And we'll see if they can. Final Judgment already activated from Daxu here, trying their best to keep them down. Zensari's out. See if they can catch another one. Eternal Bond does keep Ground Zero online a little bit longer, but with the Invisible Boundary, Omega Hurricane's coming out there. This can be a bit troublesome. Meteor M not going to land anything from Duep there. Ayavagamoto comes out from Texi as well, trying to lock them in place here, but they aren't able to clear the space in this one. Fate of Both Worlds are doing a huge job from King Bob to keep them online, but it's now down, and here comes the Eternal Bot, the counter strategist ultimate from Furikake there. Exactly what Kanga needs to push back.
They are pushing back. Finally, Kenga Esports are able to take control of the convoy once again. But Ground Zero have 2 ultimates online, but 6 doesn't even need once again. Daxon, now here comes the Mega Hurricane and the Judgment from 6. Both duelist ultimates going crazy, but Donald lands on Duep. Now there is one less Vanguard for Ground Zero, but it doesn't matter as 6, who is still judging everyone, takes out 1, and FMCL takes out more. Kenga Esports are now on the back foot and have to regroup his Skittles foes once again as well. Ground Zero are still pushing with 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock.
That's right, still have a pretty decent amount of time heading towards the final waypoint here. But we'll see if they are going to be able to get it over the line. Kanga pretty close to some ultimates right now. Invisible Boundary and Final Judgment, exactly what they need here. We'll see if they can speed those along, because Ground Zero already have ultimates and they're getting KOs as well. No Vanguards online at all. Final Judgment is shut down promptly, and there we have it. Ground Zero get it over the line just in time there, and we'll be able to have 46 seconds to spare. Now the ball gonna be in Kanga's court. LeBronald, let's see if they can manage to slam dunk their way into this next one.
LeBronald Donald. Oh, I don't actually know LeBron. Is it LeBron James? I'm so sorry. I'm not very good at basketball.
It is LeBron James. That's why we call him LeBronald.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep, LeBronald and James Magneto doing absolutely amazing work with that Meteor, but it isn't quite enough yet to stop Ground Zero in its tracks. Now, Kenga Esports have to try and beat that 46 seconds to try and get themselves a fighting chance in that next round. If they don't even make it to the end, though, Ground Zero will be able to win this map and bring the series to a 1-1 tie.
And I like what Kanga's cooking here. They've got the triple strategist lineup. They're playing into the Guardians team up as well there with Daxu, Skittles, and Chronix. So, well, not Skittles anymore, but Daxu, Furikake, and Chronix. My apologies. And definitely excited to see what they can really bring with that. Having the Adam Warlock online with the Karmic Revival is huge for their offensive capabilities here, especially if Ground Zero managed to find a way to power through them, wipe them out, then they just get that Karmic Revival off. It's massive because it turns the tides of the fight in such a quick timing there. So I'm curious how Ground Zero are going to try and counter this out, you know, whether they focus up around the strategist. But speaking of focus up, it's a portal, and they are going to try and dive straight in.
This strategy from Kanga has been happening multiple times, and it is always very successful. Is it going to be successful in this time? As Donald gets one onto FMCL, looking for another, looking for many, many more. But in this case, Donald is able to push them away from the point. And now Kanga Esports is able to get that first tick, looking for a second. And Dueb, is trying to touch onto the point, but is unable to, getting completely blocked away. Maddie AF already has Eternal Bond available and is on point, but Skittles does as well. Out comes the thing with their ultimate, smashing into King Bob, going for more, but I have a good motor being used. It is a ultimate festival on point right now, with both teams using everything they have to their disposal. But Kanga Esports wins and takes the point and takes the cart forward.
Takes the card forward, and they can look to bounce straight back. Donald on it for the quad KO there. Just impressive work, using the whip as well. You love to see it. And we'll see if they can find a lot more potential as well. Good that they took the mission area nice and early here as well. You know, going to have lots of potential, lots of flexibility, as a matter of fact, to see how they can push things down with Ratatoska there. And speaking of, we got the Galactic Legend shut down immediately by King Bob there, and they got Fate of Both Worlds online as a result. But Six is going to be the one focused up with Final Judgment right now, getting a lot of damage through Karmic Revival. Interesting to see that one come through there, and we'll see what they can find out of it, as it's the Soul Resurgence right now, Rice. They are looking to push past all lines of defense here.
They are pushing forwards, and they're pushing forwards very aggressively. The lines of defense, though, is doing a lot of work with Zensar taking down Texi. The thing has fallen for a couple foes as well. FMCL with Avengers taking down a 2-6, taking a double KO as well. Ground Zero holding here. 4 minutes. Kanga Esports have plenty of time.
Absolutely. I really liked that big push there from Kanga as well. You know, they're trying to push Ratatoska a little further forward there, and we'll see if they can find another opening like that. They do have Eternal Bond online. I have Agamotto as well, close to the Galactic Legend again too here from Daxu. So that could be exactly what they need, but Six is just absolute punishing with that damage right now. You know, the machine gun is doing work here, but there it is. Agamotto comes out. It's a team wipe from Ground Zero. Just a masterclass of how to use that Doctor Strange ultimate there. You know, they're trying to bide their time, and with ults like that, they are doing it so well.
Yeah, blinked and you missed it. Zensari with that massive Eye of Agamotto. Now having a TP from Donald, who I think an aggressive one, going possibly behind them as well. Also does have Eye of Agamotto being available as well. I'm expecting him to go in and use it essentially straight away. Never mind, he doesn't need to, and now it is being used. Stuns out too, but the judgment is aligned by Six as well. He takes down Texi. Donald getting dangerously low as well with the Eternal Bond, trying to keep him alive as best as they can. But Daxter is here and ready to shoot down everyone around them with their ultimate, getting one, getting two, but getting no one, unfortunately. But it doesn't matter with the revival from Onyx does get them off, but it's not going to be enough. Ground Zero are still in control.
Absolutely still in control and able to stroll ahead on this one. They have this choke point held down to a T right now. Kanga are trying as they might, bringing everything into the fight here, but Ground Zero just have such confidence. It really is proving difficult for them, but they do have two strategist ultimates online. Clobbering time as well from Taxi there. This could be their time. There it is. Speak, and it appears. Spirit goes down though. Ground Zero bringing it back on the Fate of Both Worlds right now. I love to see this counter back. Soul Resurgence coming out with the Karmic Revival. Chronix is bringing everyone from Kanga back. Just as soon as Ground Zero take a bit of damage, here comes Kanga, even their way forward. pushing them all the way back. This is what you want. They can push the mission vehicle up, but Eternal Bond comes out from Matty AF. This is their chance to bite back to Duep. Meteor M could be bringing out as well here. Not quite yet, though. They're holding on to it. Skittles is good. Daxu finds the KO. He is the Galactic Legend. Exactly what they need. Meteor M does not hit its mark, and the damage is legendary, but no KOs are coming through.
No KOs, but Kenga Esports are still able to push the car, push Rataska a little bit further. Chronix being able to take down FMCL is vital for them, and now out comes Donald. Meteor also going a little bit wide. Six with the final judgment, trying to find anyone, but not finding anyone yet. Skittles gets dangerous low, somehow still alive. No strategist ults for either team just yet, but they are getting online very close. Ivo Komodo being used by Zestari, able to stun out two members of Kenga Esports. Texi, the thing falls first by Duep. Ground Zero are pushing back. They are pushing forward, forcing Kenga Esports to retreat.
Just look at that laser focus coming out from Duep there as well, shutting down those strategists one by one, trying to whittle down all of Kanga's forces here and force them in to a staggered revival there. We'll see if they can hold the line, though, as Ground Zero now forced to fall back a little bit. Can't stay too close to the sun for too long, or you are going to get burnt. But you know what is going to get burnt soon? It's our ultimates coming out from our strategists here. Very curious to see who locks in first. Is it Fate of Both Worlds? Is it Soul Resurgence? Somebody has to make a move, but the KOs could be favoring them because Daxu locks it down, and here comes Kanga.
Kanga is coming with a vengeance. As you were saying, Dax are getting one going for a second, but Fate of Both Worlds being used by King Bob to keep everyone alive. But Skittles is also a strategist with an amazing Donald Duep dunks onto Furikake, but Skittles gets 6. The revive, though, is still available as a passive for Chronix and also as an ultimate as well, as Furikake comes back from that revival with, of course, their strategist ultimate, keeping Kenga Esports alive and pushing forward, but it is overtime, and it's going to be the thing. Taxi who takes down 2, and the team follows suit. Kenga Esports just barely managed to get the card across the line.
Oh my gosh, really going down to the wire in every sense there. Kanga, at long last, get it over the line, but Ground Zero, they made them work for it and work oh so hard. But the mission vehicle, Ratakoska, going to be on its way forward now. But Kanga, they only have just over a minute to play with here. All they got is Karmic Revival, Meteor M, close to clobbering time. Hayabagamoto going to be online with Eternal Bond around the corner for Ground Zero, though. This could be very dangerous indeed. The water's treacherous as ever, and the landscape transforming as we speak.
Yeah, the landscape is transforming, but of course it still gets destroyed with all the damage output from both teams. It is a fight as they try and bring Ratatoska further and further into this castle. But it's going to be hard as Texi tries to use the clobbering time to get anything through, as Skittles backs them up with all the healing from the Eternal Bond. 6, final judgment in hand, trying to do so much damage, but of course the strategists are here and ready to save the day, but it's not enough. 6 knocks out many, but Chronix revives them all.
Karmic Revival locked and loaded here. Exactly what you want to be seeing from Ganga. Soul Resurgence as well, but he is the Galactic Legend. Duep bringing out the big guns. Takes down LeBronald, showing them who's the master of the dunks in this one. Fate of Both Worlds are going to allow them to elevate forward as well. Chronix is taken out there, cannot allow them resurrection, and they will not. It is Ground Zero taking away round 2 there. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? We go 1 apiece in this one, Rice. You know, we predicted 3-1, and Kanga took 1, but Ground Zero, they've taken map 2 here with Matty AF on the MVP. Oh my gosh, look at those KOs. 40 KOs and 53 assists there. That is huge playing a strategist. Holy moly.
Yeah, 40 KOs is quite a lot. I'm very, very impressed by that and absolutely amazing work from all of these teams and everything. It's absolutely phenomenal how everyone is performing.
Absolutely. Like 79,858 points of healing is just huge from Matty AF there. The closest was Skittles, also on the Cloak and Dagger, doing a great work. And you just love to see it, honestly. Just really impressive work from both teams, and the battle rages on, taking one map apiece from each other. I love it. It just goes to show we are getting deeper into the tournament, and we love to see competitive matches just like this one.
Yeah, the rivalry between these two teams is getting deeper and getting stronger, with Kanga getting that first map and Ground Zero coming back pretty strong. They were able to get it all the way to the end. Kanga Esports looked really strong though on that first point, being able to capture that control point and then able to push Ratatoska quite far and quickly in that first section. But then Ground Zero came back and was like, you cannot go any further than this point. And they stopped them, and Kanga Esports just barely got through that second point in overtime. But losing so much time, so much precious time to that point, meant that Ground Zero had it fairly easy in that last section.
Absolutely. It goes to show they definitely built themselves up on that defense there. They managed to find a lot of confidence holding down that choke point, especially just before the halfway point there. There was laser focus on how they navigated that one. It didn't matter that the Karmic Revival was available for Kanga there, because Ground Zero just powered past it. They managed to take them out with the KOs there and then do it all over again. And I was really impressed with how they backpedaled a little bit. When things were getting a little bit too hot there, they managed to backpedal and then put themselves back in place for the fight again. It just goes to show their positioning in that one proved to be very effective. And we get to see that showcased right now into the highlights.
Yeah, the highlights show all the amazing plays, including the Storm coming out, getting quite a massive play during that fight. They were able to keep pushing forward quite well, but of course, Ground Zero were able to hold it later here in this second half. And this was also a massive play coming out from Storm.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. But Six wanted to make big impacts as well. We saw some huge shots there with a lot of potential. And Daxu, I was really impressed with how they brought out the Galactic Legend there, Star-Lord.
Yep.
But I don't feel like it made as much impact for them as they would have hoped for. I did see sometimes they had that ultimate out, but because they might have been a bit cautious of being taken out too quickly by their opponents, they had to play a bit more safely there. So I think it was definitely pretty tough for them. But, keen to see what's going to be coming out into the third map here. Right after this break, we're going to get prepped for that one. We'll see you very soon. It's going to be great.
Remember the dusk, the lights gripping tightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. Night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are standing up for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fist and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, the unravel till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers, no one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will clash, no matter where. We will fight, pushing across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And when there no more, then now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Marble Rivals Ignite Stage 1 Oceania Playoffs Day number 2 here. Matty and Profound Rise bringing you all the action here today. We have had an absolutely thrilling start of the day. You know, Kanga, Ground Zero, both are taking a map each in this best of 5 endeavor to determine who will be our first team making their way in to the grand final. And, you know, we were predicting a 3-1 in favor of Ground Zero. And both teams have taken a map each right now. So, I don't know. Our prediction could come true. It could not. It could be 3-2. Like, I'm getting worried right now, Rise.
Yeah, I was tempted to change my prediction, like after the show started, to 3-2 in favor of Ground Zero. And I'm beginning to think even that is going to be a bit of a struggle to achieve. Achieve is probably the wrong word here, but to get correct, because Kanga Esports are looking phenomenally strong. While they did lose 2-0 in the group stage against Ground Zero, they are coming back, and they're coming back strong, bringing out so many different strategies. We saw Adam Warlock in this game and Black Panther in the previous game.
Yeah, you know, it goes to show that they're bringing out all their cards here, really just trying to play into where they feel most comfortable, the strategies that they think are going to be able to elevate them to greater heights. And, you know, I really did admire the thought in practice from Kanga there. The Karmic Revival, it basically turns a team fight into a fight in 2 parts, you know. You might lose out that first section of the team fight there, but then with the Karmic Revival, you can bring everybody back, and then you get your second wind, so to speak. So it's great that they had access to that, but Ground Zero just knew exactly how to navigate it. You know, they managed to get a lot of KOs through. They would be able to backpedal for a second, reaffirm their position into the team fight there, and then they managed to push them over the line. And I was really impressed with some of the strategist ultimates coming out around that as well. You know, both teams doing their very best to keep themselves alive as much as possible. It was just really impressive to see the landscapes transform around those strategist ultimates there. You know, the Soul Resurgence coming out, seeing a lot of Eternal Bond usage there. It just really transformed how both teams were able to boost and maintain their confidence levels.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of the strategists doing quite a lot of work. We did see, it was with Matty, right? With the knockouts, 40 knockouts, and only 3 downs, 3 casualties for themselves. Absolute phenomenal work from the strategists, as you mentioned, especially I think from Ground Zero in that map, the one that we just had. The strategists were able to position themselves quite safely and able to stay alive as best as they can, while Chronix did have the revival and able to bring back the team multiple times. It was it just was different to how Ground Zero was playing, where they were playing a bit more safer and more defensively.
Oh yeah, definitely the price to pay is going to be on full display there. But you know what else is on full display? It's our third map. We're going to be locked down for Convoy. Ooh, I'm definitely excited to get deep into this one. You know, we've got Araco as our Convoy map here, and I'm definitely excited for how that plays out. You know, sometimes we see Convoy map 2, sometimes Convoy map 3. Today, Convoy map 3, and definitely going to be the place to be here. Curious how both teams navigate this as compared to the last map of Central Park, and what kind of ideas could be sparked from how this is turning out thus far. 1 map apiece. Both teams need to win 2 more in order to guarantee their spot in the grand final. And who's going to be taking it? Let's find out into the pick, ban, and protect phase.
I really should not get so... I feel like so simple-minded every time I see Kanga Esports look like hovering all the same. But now Ground Zero hovering all the things, and a couple of Black Panthers, they are getting in on the fun as well. The first ban for Ground Zero is going to be Loki immediately. Usually we see it being a Vanguard like Magneto or Emma Frost. But I guess they wanted to see which Vanguard Kanga Esports banned first, since they had that extra spare ban.
Yeah, I guess you could be right there. You know, they're just trying to feel things out before they guarantee anything. But what is guaranteed is that we will be seeing Magneto from Ground Zero, and we will be most likely seeing the Lunar Snow from Kanga. So trading out these high impact picks here definitely does affect the landscape. Like Ground Zero are really considering their approach right now. You know, they're thinking, do they ban the Ultron or the Psylocke? And Psylocke is locked out because Kanga still a little bit away from another Protect here, but Protect are going to be coming out from Ground Zero. Unsurprising at all, the Cloak and Dagger there, considering what we saw in our last matchup from Maddie. Massive stuff. But you know what else is banned out? It's the Human Torch again.
Yeah, Human Torch banned out, as well as we also see, of course, Ultron being banned. So Kenga Esports does not want to verse too many flyers in this map of Aroka, but they want to play flying themselves. No, they want to protect the Captain America. We did see the Captain America ban earlier from Ground Zero onto Kenga Esports, so that is a good call for the Protect.
Yeah, I got to agree there as well. I think that seeing the Captain America come out, they could be potentially trying to play that around the Black Panther, considering the mobility on both those heroes. But with Black Panther being banned out now, that closes that door. And Psylocke banned out as well means they're going to have a lot less flexibility. Oh, they're teasing us again with that Spider-Man. But, you know, if they want to play like that, they definitely can. But no, I don't think we're going to see Spider-Man. That's just... no, not today. Ooh, Chronix on the Human Torch, though. That's one we've seen before. We could see it again here. That would be really exciting if they are going to be looking to play into the Supernova into this one. But we'll find out exactly how those picks look as we push our way into the match here. You know, not going to have confirmation until those final seconds, but I think we're seeing the... Ooh, is that the Future Foundation skin? No, I think that's the normal one. Could be wrong. Yeah, I think that's the normal one. But I do have to put note about that Future Foundation skin coming out for Chronix. You love to see all of them.
Yeah, Future Foundation skins look absolutely amazing, and it's super exciting to see the Human Torch get one as well. Daxu, though, as you mentioned, we weren't sure if he was going to stick on the Spider-Man. Switching over to Ultron, it is going to be a little bit of a flying composition from Kenga Esports, with Texas bringing out the Emma Frost as well. Super exciting to see how this one goes. And Ground Zero, though, wait, is that also a Penny Parker? They switched again. It's not Penny Parker. I'm so sorry. Squirrel Girl. They switched onto Squirrel Girl.
It is. So that's one you don't often see there, but definitely very excited to see how it plays out here. You know, Squirrel Girl being online does open the door to the unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami, which definitely can displace a team fight if put down in the right position there. Deals a lot of damage. It packs a lot of punch, you know, and curious to see how it plays out. But you know what else is going to play out? Ultron for Daxu. We've seen our duelist players commonly bring out the Ultron before, Six notably playing that very well. But now it's Daxu's turn to take the mantle, take the torch on this one, and we'll see how they can fare as both teams are trading out a ton of damage thus far.
Ton of damage, which does mean a lot of heals are coming out. Meta AF already has Eternal Bond online and ready to play. Skittles is only at 90% here, but they're both going to have it online soon. FMCL with a Mega Hurricane available. May want to pop it immediately as Maddie AF is going to be using Eternal Bond, and so does Skittles. Both these strategists are trying to keep their team alive, but Skittles, somebody gets taken out by Six despite having the Eternal Bond on the floor. And now Ground Zero are popping off and taking control of the point, taking control of... I think it's Krakoa, right? We had this conversation. This is the Krakoa convoy. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Nah, this is going to be fun. You know, I love to see one of the newer maps like this one, and definitely excited for how things play out into the choke point here. Everyone is just funneling in, but speaking of funneling in, I have Agamotto coming out. Here's the Omega Hurricane encounter suit there, locking it down, locking it in. Fate of Both Worlds going to be online though, so is the damage enough? I do not think so. So Kanga going to have a free escape out of that one with the Eye of Agamotto though. Texi out of range for the Fate of Both Worlds, does get KO'd out, so well placed into that one, and does allow Ground Zero to hold their ground a while longer. The Supernova not making as much impact as they would like for Chronix and Co there, so we'll see if they can continue to stop Kanga's flow.
Yeah, they gotta try and do their best to stop all the Kenga Esports from moving, and they are doing phenomenally with now the final judgment coming up from 6 onto Chronix, but Skittles has that invisible boundary to try and push forward, and they are going to be able to touch the point right now to keep going forward. And now Aroka is moving forward. Maddie AF does have the Eternal Bond available if they want to keep up and push forward, and they will be using it to get some more ground.
That's right, get some more ground, hit the ground running, and let's see how they can fare into this next endeavor. Texi taking all the damage, does manage to take the portal up to their team, though Daxu bringing out the Rage of Ultron as well, keeping their team healed and yielding some results as Matty AF is taken out here. Good KO coming through there. FMCL trying to escape, but Donald is hunting them down and gets the KO. Loud and proud. Aya Bagamoto coming out from Zensari there, desperately trying to hold on to the mission vehicle here. Try and buy more time at Gengar. Only 30 seconds now to go, and Crown Zero bringing out the heat right now. Taxi with the Psionic Seduction does manage to find Zensari out of it, but speaking of bringing things out, Omega Hurricane coming out from FMCL. They take a lot of damage. They're going to be KO'd out as well here. Crown Zero are bringing out everything. I love to see this closeness. You know, they've taken a lot of time. They're losing a lot of players, and finally Kanga get it over, but in a way, Ground Zero have succeeded because it made them waste more time before pushing it along.
No, completely agree. Ground Zero were able to hold that point, hold it for such a long time that they were able to nearly get to overtime, and Kanga Esports had to use so much there to try and get it over the line. They were able to successfully get it over the line, but Ground Zero's defense looking a little bit strong, especially on that first checkpoint. Six now does have that final judgment available if they want to try and push forward and take more time away from Kanga Esports, who only have 2 minutes left. But also Furikaka does have that Fate of Both Worlds available, and Daxu also has the Rage of Ultron, and they are definitely very, very angry and trying to use as much as they can to push forward, and Kanga Esports already halfway through.
Oh, here we go. Final judgment going to be coming out from Six there. Kanga need to scatter as fast as possible. Do not want to be on the receiving end of those bullets, but holy moly, getting it very close. Here comes the Supernova. Eternal Bond going to be coming out as well. Kanga finding a couple of KOs already, looking for even more. Taxi now grinding up the floor on this one, trying to shut them down in the back line there. They have got a lot of damage through, and more building up by the second. Donald chiming in, looking for one more as well. Trying to use a strategic portal, perhaps, could delay them from getting back on to the defense. Yeah, look at this. They're holding down some of these angles, and I love that. That's going to allow them more flexibility on the push.
Exactly, more flexibility, but Grand Zero are still able to just get around it and make it towards the convoy and do one final fight here. Kanga Esports with only 1 minute left. This could be a very difficult situation for them as FMCL and Zensari both use their ultimates to try and do as much as they can. FMCL being able to take down Skittles, who did have that invisible boundary available, but is not going to be used. Instead, Furikaka is using Fate of Both Worlds to keep the team alive. And now showtime for Bob now for them, as Grand Zero is still trying to keep this defense up. Furikaka falls to Zensari. Kanga Esports are slowly falling, but they hang on. They capped. In the middle of that, they were able to cap the point. Now 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, really great to gain that flexibility, you know, after playing around some strategic portals there, managing to navigate the landscape. They do manage to take it past the second point here. Now, the final stretch for Kanga. They don't have too much time available, granted, but they might just have enough power in them to push it all the way to the end here. We'll see what they can cook up in the lab as they hold on to it for a second longer. Chronix bringing out the fire, bringing out the pain right now, trying to drain them out. Look at those fire tornadoes coming out as well. Just really making the path so treacherous for Ground Zero to even get close to it.
Well, Six is wanting to travel that treacherous path and is walking forward onto the convoy, getting one for themselves and start getting another. It is going to be the fight leaning towards Ground Zero as Kanga Esports respect the final judgment and go back to spawn to regroup.
That's it. They respect them, respect their commanding presence, and we'll be looking to hold it back a while longer. Now, what do Kanga have available? They've got Aya Bagamoto, Fate of Both Worlds, and the Rage of Ultron around the corner. What do Ground Zero have? Meteor M, Omega Hurricane, there it is. And a couple more ults as well, but here it comes, the Hurricane. They're jumping straight into the portal. They followed Kanga. Fate of both worlds going to be activated there with the Rage of Ultron. They are trying to hold on with the Strategist Ultimates, but Luna's down, Skittles as well. All they have is Daxu right now. Texi in a bit of trouble as well here. The damage is just too grand. The KOs come out in abundance. Daxu's trying to hold on to the skies, but no, they're taken down as well. The staggered KO there works out perfectly for Ground Zero. Kanga have less than 10 seconds. They need to get on point desperately, but Skittles getting taken down. Oh no, this is dangerous. Oh, Bakamoto comes out. They're trying to hold on. They are pushing it for OT here, but Ground Zero are pushing them away. Punching ahead right now. Kanga can't get any closer than this, and just like that, Ground Zero hold it off successfully.
Ground Zero with a massive fight there at the end, being able to win that first fight and stopping Kanga from able to successfully get back onto point with another fight. Well played by Ground Zero, being able to stop them in that second phase. And with that, Kanga Esports are going to have to try their best to stop Ground Zero even earlier than that. Now, we saw them play Ultron before. Wondering if they're going to be sticking to Ultron here, but Daxo, of course, maybe leaning towards that Punisher.
Yeah, looking pretty good there, leaning towards the Punisher. Could be looking to bring out the big guns, you know, trade machine guns with the machine guns there on both sides. But what I like to see is FMCL considering the Wolverine here. We could see a last stand to come out of that one, but I do like how Cap has now found their time in the limelight as well. Freedom Charge definitely going to allow them a lot more presence around the points here. Really great on the defense, particularly as well, because they can just stall them out, especially when the time is just needing to be trickled down. Really great to hold off Ground Zero from managing to push that mission vehicle any further forward. But you know, it's time to push once again. The time is up. The gates are open. And here comes the fire.
The fire in the hands of Daxter on the turret of Punisher. Trying to do as much damage as possible from the safety of the buildings around them. But of course, it does have to respect the damage coming from Ground Zero themselves. Ground Zero now on attack, being very aggressive with a Wolverine. MCL has been brought out the Wolverine, and we've seen them play a very strong aggressive Wolverine before. But Donald, also in Captain America, Matt AF, and Sensai take one each. Ground Zero are making their mark here on attack.
Oh yeah, making their mark, finding that spark, but here we go. FMCL doubled down on it, got the maximum rage, and it will slowly trickle down. So, good presence coming out in the early stages here. Over 3 minutes on their side. And it's the fantastic 4 team up coming out. Skittles and Texi into fruition here. Keen to see if they can make impact with that. But impact is going to be made by 6 on the turret right now. Just pushing through heaps of damage. Poor Texi. Oh my word. I don't know how they survived that, but big props to their strategists is all I can say. Donald not going to be so lucky though. And now here comes 6 again, bringing out the fire on the final judgment. Invisible boundary going to be placed up. Oh, finds Texi through it all there, trying to shut them down. Goodbye, Daxu. And we could say goodnight to Chronix as well. Quad on the KOs here. 6 and Dueb doing all the work. And they find their way past that first point. Amazing stuff are coming through from Ground Zero.
Absolutely amazing indeed. And with that, they only really needed to use the final judgment. They have 5 ultimates to their disposal for this next push. And I mean, 6 doesn't even care. Doesn't even need it. The only one without an ultimate. And they do take down Texi, who is on that Venom now. Exciting change from Kanga Esports. But is it going to be enough? Are they able to stop the cart from moving here? Are they able to keep the defense up? Well, Zansari with the Eye of Akamoto going in, and it's a big one, starting 5 members. They're managing to just in time get that Fate of Both Worlds online and usable to keep as many of the members alive, but Chronix will fall in the meantime. 6 also getting stunned up and barely surviving as well, but FMNCL getting massive plays with their ultimate. So much aggression coming out from Ground Zero. They want to finish this push fast, this convoy fast.
Absolutely, can't agree more there. Great to see the last stand being activated, but the portal going to be activated just as quick. King Bob finding the damage there. Galactic Legend coming out as well. This is not what you want to see. Kanga trying their best to hold on to it. Chronix has been KO'd out as well. Gonna see the invisible boundary there from Skittles. 6 on the final judgment, trying to find somebody. Skittles gets away around the pillar. They're so lucky for their position there, but their teammates not gonna be so lucky here. Donald and co trying to hold down the convoy, but it is just not meant to be. So the final stretch, just under 5 minutes here for Ground Zero. Oh my gosh, they have ample time, and they are gonna be primed up for this final stretch.
Yeah, final stretch. They need to travel 84.49 meters. And I mean, they've already traveled 20 meters, but soon the big fight will start. But there are going to be many fights if Kenga Esports wants to stop it here, because Ground Zero with over 4 minutes in their hand is going to be hard. But Duep already getting first pick onto Daxter does spell a little bit of disaster for Kenga Esports. But Kenga Esports, of course, want to stay in it, but out comes the Eye of Agamotto, and it is a big one. A 3-hero stun. Now Daxter, who is back in spawn, has switched to Hela. Is this going to be enough? Are they going to be able to touch in time? Only a few meters left.
Not gonna happen. There it is, Rice. We see map number 3 locked and loaded for Ground Zero. So just like that, they have taken the series 2-1 in their favor, and this means, what does it mean? They are on series point, and they are 1 step away from the grand final. Can you believe it? Matty AF on the MVP again as well there with the cloak and dagger. Just staggering the amount of impact they've been able to make on that one, you know, doubling down the last 2 maps on the MVP. And that's got to be scary for Ganga. Ganga need to get rid of that cloak and dagger. But oh my gosh, what a series.
You mentioned the cloak and dagger, but I'm sure they protected that cloak and dagger. Ground Zero really loved that cloak and dagger, especially in the hands of Maddie. Absolutely phenomenal work. They got a MVP last map as well, so Maddie AF definitely doing a lot of work and is looking a little bit scary, but of course the rest of the team as well. The Eye of Agamotto, the timings of those, and being able to successfully get multiple stuns on multiple members was absolutely beautiful to watch. So I think those Eye of Agamottos are also extremely game-changing.
Couldn't agree with you more there. Incredible stuff coming out from both teams. I love to see it. Zenstari putting in a lot of work there with the Eye of Agamottos. You know, I love to see Duep securing the power with the Meteor M there. Definitely looking good so far, and excited to see what else they are going to be able to bring through as well there, Rice. You know, here comes the highlights as well. They've been really locked into this one and just doing great work.
Absolutely, indeed. Both teams are so locked in. But Ground Zero able to handle that defense quite a lot stronger than Kenga Esports, and able to stop them before they reach the end was absolutely phenomenal to watch from Ground Zero. And 6 on the Punisher. We've seen a 6 on Punisher and Hela multiple times, and they are extremely scary.
Oh yeah, fear has been instilled in their opponents through and through there. Like, just look at how locked in these players are as well. Really impressed with how they navigated the landscape there. Final judgment from 6, doing a great job. And it goes to show, you know, they're managing to play effectively together as a team, synergizing so well there. And now Ground Zero get on top of this series and manage to take themselves to series point. It's now or never for Kanga, you know. They need to win a map back to tie this series up. Otherwise, they could be relegated down to the lower end of the bracket and have to face whoever is the victor of our next series.
Exactly, yeah. Kenga could be forced down into the lower bracket if they lose this next map. So the choice is in their hands about what map they want to play, what side they want to play, and I'm sure they're going to be thinking about it very, very hard about what map they want to play. But with this, we have to wait for them to make a decision, and we shall go to a short break and be back shortly.
Hello, hello, welcome back everybody to Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 1 Oceania Playoffs, day number 2 here. Matsy and Profound Rise coming alive once again after our third map of this incredible best of 5 series between Kanga and Ground Zero. Both teams have proven themselves with maps on the board so far, but Ground Zero, they've drawn the sword, and they are on series point, with the series at the moment being 2 maps to 1 in their favor.
Yep, Ground Zero on series point here. It could go the way of Ground Zero, or Kanga could come back and take this next map. Remember, Kanga does get to decide this next map and decide which side they will be playing on, so they better decide wisely and try and bring themselves back into their series. Otherwise, they will be relegated down to the lower bracket, where they have to fight against the winner of today's later match for a chance at the grand final. But if Ground Zero win this match, this next map, they will be heading their way into the grand final tomorrow, which starts approximately 4:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Ooh, excited for prime time there, but you know what else I'm excited for? It's Domination. Map 4 here. Which one's it gonna be? Ooh, they're hovering Hell's Heaven. Hello. Let's see if this is the way it's gonna go. The pick could be coming through. They're thinking about it, thinking deeply, thinking wisely, like Professor X. But it's gonna be locked down. It's Kanga taking us to Hell's Heaven here. So, you know, we could see some very unique picks. We did see a glimpse of the goddess of hell, Hela.
Yep.
Coming out before. We could see the goddess of hell, Hela, come out again on Hell's Heaven. Definitely would be fun to see that one there, but you never know, Rise. You never know with this series. Anything could be coming out. You know, we could see magic even come out.
Ooh.
By the way, make sure you're tuned in for your Twitch drops, everybody. Get that magic costume. It looks absolutely awesome.
I agree. Those Twitch drops look amazing, and I believe I'm so close to getting all of them. I think I'm only like a couple hours away, so I'm definitely excited to equip that once I get back into Marvel Rivals. Maybe after tonight, I'll be able to hop on for a little bit, so I'm excited for that. But of course, not only are the drops, you've also got other exciting costumes available in Marvel Rivals. But we are about to head into this new map on Domination. We're back into a Domination map, Matsy.
Yeah, Domination. We are so back and very keen to see who will be able to make a dent in this one, as our bans already scatter through. Emma Frost banned out by Kanga. Loki going to be banned by Ground Zero though, so no God of Mischief this time. And again, they have locked down Magneto, but Loki gonna be locked down by Kanga as well, so no one gonna be playing that one. Luna Snow is locked in for Kanga. They don't care about the Magneto. It's Luna Snow with the Fate of Both Worlds. That is their priority, but that gives flexibility to Ground Zero to say goodbye to Magneto.
Yeah, that is a good point. Kanga Esports prioritizing that Luna Snow protect over Magneto. They were able to ban out Emma Frost, so Ground Zero cannot play that. But of course, the Loki, we've been seeing the Loki bans from both teams, both in this map, but also the, like many maps, I think twice now in this series. So Loki is a bit scary for both of these two teams. Ultron being banned out, and now Black Panther. Ground Zero do not want to see Black Panther in the hands of Kanga Esports.
Yeah, they really want to try and divert them away from those high mobility duelists there, like the Black Panther, like the Psylocke. Unfortunately for Ground Zero, Psylocke is locked in, so this could be very problematic for them. But in saying that, they have banned the Mantis, and we have seen Kanga try and push into the Mantis time and time again. You know, that Soul Resurgence, having a bit of extra damage come through there for their teammates, definitely benefiting them, but not going to happen this time. But what is going to happen is Matiev on to that Cloak and Dagger again. They've got an MVP the last 2 maps, and if they keep up the way they're doing, they might be able to do it all over again. But you know, we are seeing team-ups come through there. Texi and Daxu, perhaps. Nope, not anymore. Unless they play Emma Frost, we could see that one come through. But the Fantastic Four team-up is coming through from Chronix and Skittles there. There you go. Seeing that locked in. Donald on the Captain America, going to be great as well. You know, Freedom Charge really allows them a lot of flexibility to bounce around the point, you know. It's basically like you're using that Brainiac bounce on Mr. Fantastic, except you're just Captain America and you're just bouncing around the point. You love to see it, especially when you're trying to play for more percentage build-up and just overall flexibility. But Ground Zero, they're bringing out the power with that Wolverine again, and that was scary last game. You know, we saw a lot of KOs come out from FMCL.
Yeah, FMCL being able to put out a lot of damage on this Wolverine. Excited to see it happening again. But yeah, exciting as well to also see the Texi and Daxu playing Emma Frost and Psylocke. We haven't seen this combination happen. We've seen this happen a few times, but it's exciting to see it happen again. But Chronix is going to be knocked by Cuban Torch and going to be switching over to the Wolverine as well. A bit of a Wolverine v Wolverine, but also a bit of a Portal v Portal. Zansari and Donald are both portaling right now. But who is going to win it? It looks like Feral is getting the first pick onto Durab. It's going to be massive for Kanga Esports, but they are both going to be ignoring the portals and walking now straight to point.
Yeah, looking to take the walk down there. No portal, no problem. So I think they got the portal denial through, if I'm not mistaken, at least from Ground Zero. So great to see that they can hold them off for a sec there. But now Kanga going to be on top of the mission area here, almost getting control of it. FMCL going to stop them from taking any further percentage towards this point, though. Speaking of, we do see Donald locked out there. Six with the shotgun, dishing out heaps of damage and does lock down the KO, but they still have to flow through a bit more, and they've got Psylocke to worry about there. Daxu playing around that team up, because with Emma Frost on the team, they can bring out that clone.
Yeah, and that clone can be pretty strong and confusing for the enemy team, but Chronix now taken out of the skybase, and Starry, who flew up to meet them. Ground Zero have one less player as well. As Six was taken out earlier, and now they've lost two more. Ground Zero who are about to try and cap the point, and now on the back foot, and will have to regroup as Kanga Esports take the point.
That they do, finding their early potential, and the mission area is locked down. Taxu in a lot of trouble, does get punished down. A good job from Six there, locking in the KO, and we'll see if they can get closer to the mission area again, as they have a path of flame in their way, and they're going to have to jump over that like an obstacle course. But let's see if they can set sail towards the point now. Final Judgment online, do have Eternal Bond, Fate of Both Worlds as well, but Psionic Seduction going to be coming out right now. Almost taken down immediately. Huge damage from Six there, trying desperately to shut them away from this point. And Kanga doing a great job of holding down little angles here, playing around the pillars and bringing out their ultimates as well. FMCL does catch Chronix around the bend though. Cracking impact online when that Fate of Both Worlds is down, so can definitely shut things back here, trying to slow them down. And just look at how they navigate this race.
Absolutely navigated extremely well, especially by FMCL here on this buggy, looking phenomenal across. Of course, you mentioned Kraken Impact is now online and available for this next fight. But Kanga Esports do have two, including the Dance of the Butterflies and Captain America's Assemble Ultimate. So it's going to be exciting to see if they are able to get the point with these two ultimates, if they're going to have to gather some more strategies. But how comes Daxu with the Dance of the Butterflies gets shut down immediately? And Six taking out Donald. It's going to be a rough fight for Kanga Esports. They may just have to lick their wounds and head back to spawn.
Oh my gosh, that freeze coming out from King Bobber there to immediately shut down the Dance of the Butterfly from Daxu. Just access denied on the point. That was huge. And now they're reset, are back to square one here, and Ground Zero have almost powered past them. Skills going down. That is really going to nullify their strategist potential here. Kanga have to rethink how they want to approach the point. They're already backpedaling out. Bionic Hook, though, almost takes FMCL offline, but they find Texi on their way out. Oh my gosh, Rice. This is dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. I did not expect Texi to be taken out there. I honestly thought FMCL may have bitten off too much than they can chew, but somehow Kanga Esports were not able to capitalize on that, and Ground Zero just getting one extra flyby KO. But now, with less time remaining, 6 pops their final judgment, and Matty AF, a ton of bonders on the floor, but so are all the owners from Kenga Esports. It is a battle of owners. It's a battle between these two teams. Iva Gonota gets used, doesn't find many, as Ansari now takes to the sky to try and get anything else with their whip. But out comes the fate of both boats, Imperial Kaka too, and King Bob. Both are trying to keep everyone alive, but are they even able to touch the point? 96%! Matt, what are they going to be able to do? Are they going to be able to touch 99? 100%. Ground Zero take this first point.
Oh my gosh, can you believe it? The frozen airfield is done and dusted there. Ground Zero find the capture and managed to take this momentum one step higher. Eldritch Monument now going to be the next capture point online, and I'll tell you what, it's appropriate that this is going to be the next one, because Kanga need to have a monumental comeback coming into this one to really show us what they can do. Look at those stats as well. 6 on 15 KOs. Can you believe it? Just absolutely huge stuff.
Absolutely huge indeed. A lot of damage coming out from 6. And comparatively, I don't like comparing people, but Chronix with only 1 KO on the Punisher as well. Kenga Esports not able to confirm a lot of the knockouts for themselves. So Ground Zero, though, are very much able to take out quite a the key members of Kenga Esports. Now out comes the portal player once again. Zenstari versus Donald. They're both sitting in the spawn, and they're both going to try and juke the portals. It's so funny.
Oh, here we go. Portal be portal. Dexy gets the punch through. Nice start there. Looking for more as well. 6 with the shotty. Shuts down Daxu. Look at this. Just trading blows through the portals. I love this portal-based combat coming through from both sides here, you know? They're really showcasing their damage early on, and I love how 6 stayed back so their team could push up to the mission area. They're going to be able to get some good stance on the point here, but we'll see who can manage to find advantage early on.
Speaking of advantage, Ground Zero does have 2 owners available, Duep with a Meteor and FMCL with Kraken Impact. Kraken Impact now being used, but so is the Judgment from Chronix. Meteor goes hard onto Chronix, shutting down that Judgment. Skittles' invisible boundary is available and being used to keep everyone alive. Now 6 popping their Judgment now that the boundary has fallen. And Zenstari with the massive Ivagamito takes down a couple members. Ground Zero have the point, and that point is ticking up.
It's ticking up. The time is cooking here. Speaking of Zenstari, finding the KOs on the way out as well. Just staggering down Kanga here and giving themselves a lot more flexibility to keep control of the point. Build up percentage here and do a lot of work with it. Matty AF has the Eternal Bond online as well. Pretty close to the fate of both worlds there. So good strategist ultimates that can allow them more presence. But, you know, Kanga's got a fate of both worlds as well. Ayabagamoto close behind here. We'll see. Are they going to be primed and ready? Oh my gosh, FMCL so close to taking down Furikake there. Luckily, they can fall back, take the high ground here, Kanga. But they need to find a way to get in, because Ground Zero, they keep building up percentage here. And here we go. Dance to the butterfly coming out around the back there. And they find 6. Double down on the KO. This is what you need, Kanga. This is how you make Ground Zero concede the point.
Yeah, Ground Zero very much feeling all the damage that is being dealt by Chronix and Daxu, the Eye of the Butterfly, as well as Donald's Eye of the Butterfly. Dance of the Butterfly and Eye of Agamotto both being used in a beautiful combination there, able to claim their point. But 68%, Ground Zero has managed to collect quite a lot of percentage for themselves. Kenga Esports have to win quite a few fights in a row to be able to reach where Ground Zero left it.
Time to shine.
That's right, have to see if they can reach for greater heights here, reach for more percentage. As Ground Zero have a lot of tools at their disposal as well. Ayabagamoto online, Media M around the corner here. Really could be quite a treacherous path ahead. Speaking of Media M, Duep bringing it out, trying to find someone around the back. Oh, Onyx is down! down. And they're looking for more around the corner as well. Great way to kick things off into the fight here. And we'll see if they can find more around the upend. Daxu so close to going down. Goodbye, says FMCL. And they're trying to get more. FMCL causing mayhem on this one. And Ground Zero take control of the point once again.
They do take control indeed, using quite a lot of their ultimates, but still keeping many in their pocket for this next fight. But 80%, out comes the TP from Donald. They're going to try and split off the team, and if it is successful, it's going to be a good start for Kenga Esports. Going to pushing out with the final judgment, being able to take down King Bob immediately, but they will be taken out in return by Six, who is also judging Kenga Esports. Donald getting dangerous low, but will be able to stay alive just barely, as Maddie will be taken out from Ground Zero, now losing one of the strategists. It could be dangerous for Skittles falls now as well, but the Dance of the Butterflies is back online and in the hands of Daxu, and successfully flips the table in favor of Kenga Esports.
So well timed as well there. You saw Six trying to backpedal into the turret setup so they can dish out more damage, but it just didn't work. So great stuff coming through there, and we'll see if they can manage to find more. But, you know, it's time to slow down. It's portal time. They're looking for their primary target. You can see target acquired, and they're jumping into it. Bounce onto the point. It's time to get that damage dishing through. Six trying to trickle it through with the turret there. Furikake going to be the first one to fall here. Kraken Impact coming out as well. Ooh, they're targeting down Chronix. Are they going to be able to get it? Yes, they will. Another Kraken Impact. And they look down another one. FMCL spelling trouble for Kanga again. They managed to find the impact, but they still have a Vanguard around the corner. Here's Donald trying to get on the point, keep Kanga's hopes alive. Daxu holding on to it as well. Fate of both worlds will keep to light a while longer, but is it too little too late? The damage could outweigh their impact here. We are on the tiniest amount of OT, but they're still holding, still shooting, but no! Ground Zero, take control. We are back, and we have our grand finalist.
Ground Zero will be heading into the grand finals tomorrow, and it's going to be exciting to see how Ground Zero take that, how they handle the grand finals tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Ground Zero will be then now determined to be the top two, and while Kenga Esports are now relegated down into the lower brackets, where they have to fight once more against either the Vicious or Bethany and try and get back into the grand finals. But yes, what a massive game from Ground Zero here.
Absolutely huge stuff coming out there. They lock it down. You know, Kanga take map 1, but Ground Zero managed to sweep it all the way back into the 3-1 scoreline there. And Rice, it looks like our predictions have come true, you know, 3-1 to Ground Zero. So there you go. We got it right this time. Holy moly. And I gotta say, massive stuff are coming out from both their teams there. You know, Kanga, really great job from them, managing to take a map off Ground Zero. Finally, they have a tainted record.
They do have a tainted record here. Finally, in the playoffs, they do lose a map. They didn't drop a single map in the group stage. But while they did have a map, I believe, dropped in the open qualifiers, this is the first time here on broadcast we have seen Ground Zero stumble. They are not undefeatable. They are not untouchable. They can, in fact, lose maps on stage, on broadcast here. And it's exciting to see Kenga Esports being the one to take this down, taking down their fellow Australian-based org, but of course they were only able to take one map. So now Kenga Esports have to go back to the drawing board and see what they can cook up in that lower bracket.
That's right, they are going to be on the lower bracket run now, and who are they going to verse? Well, that's going to be dictated by our next matchup with the Vicious taking on Bethany. So very excited to see how that one plays out. You know, I'm hopeful, at least on a personal level, that Bethany can take at least one map away in the rematch there, but maybe they can surprise and take even more. You know, you never know what's going to be in store out of these matches here. But we have our first grand finalist locked in now. Ground Zero carving their way through the bracket. and they have locked in their place.
They have locked themselves in for tomorrow about 4:30 p.m. depending how long that lower bracket finals takes, of course. So excited to watch that one tomorrow between Kanga and whoever wins between the Vicious and Bethany later today. But excited to watch that one earlier in the day tomorrow at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be exciting because, yeah, now Kanga Esports is going to have to cook, I've said this before, cook up something exciting. We've seen them cook up a Black Panther, we've seen them cook up Adam Warlock, we've seen them bring out the theme. But what else will they be bringing out? And it's going to be their last chance to stay in the tournament tomorrow at 1 p.m.
That's right. You know, even if they did lose today, they still have a chance at a third match against Ground Zero. You know, we're going in for the 3-time on it. Ground Zero have pushed their way ahead 2 times so far against Kanga, and we'll see if they are going to face again for a 3rd time, depending on the outcome of today's match and tomorrow's match as well. You know, Bethany or the Vicious will be facing off against Kanga tomorrow to determine who will face Ground Zero in the grand final. And all eyes are going to be on the rest of the path forward here. All eyes front and center as to who might be meeting Ground Zero face to face.
Yeah, exactly. It could be any of these 3 remaining teams. It could be Kanga, Bethany, or the Vicious. Now, we've seen the Vicious and Kanga Esports play each other earlier. We saw that yesterday, but we haven't seen Bethany and Kanga verse each other yet. But we have seen Vicious and Bethany once before in the group stage. So excited to see if anything changes, if the teams have gone back to the drawing board and brought out new strategies that they have been discovering in scrims to change the script of what we saw in the group stage.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. You know, I think that reflecting on the matches so far is a great opportunity to try and change the script for a lot of our teams here, you know, because they can try and navigate their compositions a little differently. Like we've seen the triple strategists come out, you know, we might see something entirely different. Like I was really impressed how today we saw a lot more Hulk action. You know, I think Donald brought that out a few times there. So it was great to see Hulk finding their impact, because Hulk definitely does still have their value. You know, I feel like if you think about a Vanguard, they're a big tier Vanguard. You know, they can really hold things down for a while, even when they're like pushed down to the bruise form there. Hulk has a lot of potential with the right pieces around them. So it was great to see that one online, but obviously it didn't work out quite as well as Kanga would have hoped it today. But, you know, it's not the end of their story yet. It's just another chapter on its way through.
Exactly, another chapter, and that chapter will be continuing tomorrow. But we do have, of course, other chapters to discuss today between the Bethany and the Vicious. It is going to be exciting. Another rematch today. We've mentioned at the start of the broadcast. Today is just a series of rematches from the group stage. We saw Ground Zero and Kanga Esports verse it off in the group stage where Ground Zero won 2-0, and then Bethany and the Vicious versed as well in group stage 2-0.
Absolutely keen to get stuck into our next one. But before we go there, let's interview one of our winners from Ground Zero. Welcome in.
Hello.
Zanstari.
Zanstari, let's go.
You've been absolutely phenomenal. This match on, both Groot as well as Doctor Strange. Those portals, I'm glad we get to talk to you, because I need to talk to you about how those portals they were absolutely crazy. Did you practice these types of portals where you were like dividing the team and the portal v portal that was happening in Domination? How did you guys practice and prepare for such portal play?
Look, I mean, I just think that, especially on yesterday, Kanga and VC, they kind of did it to each other. So it's like a really strong strat to like portal and try and kidnap one of their supports, or just like TP them off and create so much pressure, because then that means that both teams, they just don't have their TP for basically the whole round. So it's a really good thing that we did that a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, really impressed with how you navigated that matchup there. But I guess looking forward into the future, who do you think out of these teams might be facing you in the grand final?
Look, Kanga, they were pretty strong today. They've improved a lot from the last week that we versed them. Look, I'm gonna be rooting for Bethany, but look, anything can happen. VC, they're a really strong team as well. So, and look, anything can happen, but I'll be rooting for Bethany. Hopefully they can pull it back.
Yeah, Bethany have versed the Vicious before in the group stage, and the Vicious did look that little bit stronger, but I'm sure they've had time to regroup and practice as well. You mentioned Kanga have improved a lot since last week, so I'm expecting the same from Bethany as well. So exciting, a big banger game later on today. And yeah, so you're mentioning you're hoping to verse Bethany coming up. But how would you feel if it came down to another rematch playing against Kanga Esports 3 times in this tournament? Would you change your strategies again, or do you think you understand them well and truly by now?
Look, I think their first map that we played on, where they played heavy dive and flankers, that's clearly like their strongest suit. So those type of like domination maps first, but look, they're gonna look at our gameplay, and they're gonna try and implement strategies of their own and do more bans and fix up the bans and whatever. But look, if we verse Kanga in the grand final, it's gonna be a good game, but there's gonna be a lot on the line, and it'll be good seeing that no ego, but like 2 of the best teams in OCE going off 3 times in a row, it would be an absolute phenomenal game to watch.
Couldn't agree with you more there. It builds up for a great storyline, and it means we might get to hear from you again, heading into the future weeks. But I guess thinking back on that last map there, there's one moment that really stands out to me, and it's when I think King Bob managed to freeze Daxu on the point as they're about to pop off that Dance of the Butterfly. Yeah, what was the team's reaction to that?
We gassed him up so much. We were just like, oh, we were stoked at that freeze, because that was literally that was a win fighter. That was the fight. That whole freeze clutched it, because they were cap ulting into us. 9 times out of 10, we're probably going to be winning that. But that's an insane freeze from King Bob. Insane.
Well, very well played by all of you, working together as an amazing team. Your hard work has been showing in all of these gameplays, all these games that we've been watching on broadcast. So I'm sure you guys are very proud of yourselves. Congratulations on reaching top 2 so far in Marvel Rivals Ignite Oceania. Hope you guys have a good rest tonight, have a good meal, and come prepared tomorrow for the grand finals.
Oh, we will. We will.
There we have it. Great stuff. Hearing from the GOAT themselves, Zen Starry, one of the Vanguard players from Ground Zero there. And, with how things are going at the moment, it might not be the last we're hearing from them. So great to get some insight into how the team is feeling, how they're feeling about the landscape of the tournament themselves. I really liked how Zen Starry was hopeful that Bethany would do well, like myself there. I'm rooting for the underdog, so hopeful that Bethany can make a big impact into our next series there as well, right?
Yeah, I'm very much hopeful as well. As we mentioned before, they went 2-0 in the group stage, but also Kanga Esports went 2-0 as well against Ground Zero, and they were able to take a map, and they still look strong in other maps too. Of course, the domination map, they looked pretty strong on this last map as well. So I think Kanga Esports, I would say, is feeling confident with the domination, as Zen Starry just alluded to.
Absolutely. It really does play into a lot of their players' backgrounds there. Chronix in particular, playing into similarly styled game modes over their time as a professional in the esports scene. So I feel like they have a pretty good grasp of how to play around those domination style maps there, and definitely eager to see how they manage to find impact into their further pursuits in the journey here as well. But great highlights are coming out of that matchup there. I'm glad that Ground Zero felt just as good as we did about that freeze coming through from King Bob.
Yeah.
Just huge stuff. It's moments like that that you can mark on the page of history there, just as to how well the team went during their tournament. So definitely one to look back on as a team. But while we get things gassed up for our last series of the day to find out who's going to be facing Kanga tomorrow, we are going to head to a quick break. We'll be back before you know it.
Children, make yourself useful.
By the eye of Agamotto!
Nowhere to hide. Woo! I never miss.
Feel the wrath of the goddess!
Look who just showed up.
This is my unnatural selection. Extermination!
Here we go. We are back. We are so back here with Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 1 Oceania Playoffs. Day 2. First and foremost, we have our grand finalist locked in at ground 0, taking down Kanga. And next on the card, it is on the lower side of our bracket here, Bethany taking on the Vicious. Deja vu. I've been in this place before.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a deja vu. We saw them versus each other in group stage, where the Vicious won 2-0 in a fairly, I might say, dominating fashion. So the Vicious looking a little bit like the favorites, the one that has to reclaim their spot as first seed of Group B, while Bethany, being the underdogs, have something they want to prove.
That they do. Bethany looking to give it their all here, show that they are a fighting force to be reckoned with, and I'm definitely excited to see what they are going to be able to achieve heading into this best of 5 series. You know, I love talking about best of 5s. Just goes to show how much deeper we can go into a series compared to our best of 3 endeavors, and it is oh so satisfying to see how well our teams can play as we get deeper into the territory here. But speaking of territory, do you think, Rice, that we might see some more creative picks come out from our rosters here as well?
I feel like Bethany has a history of being a bit more creative with their choices, with their compositions. The Vicious do experiment a little bit as well, but I feel like Bethany does that a little bit more. But that's just based on vibes. That's just based on group stage. Of course, what they've been doing in scrims and what they've been preparing for today, things could change. Well, remember, they versed each other in group stage, and so they are definitely have been going back to the drawing board and considering, how do we want to verse this team again?
Yeah, and I guess that's the flexibility, you know, because even when your team might take a loss, I feel like taking a loss is also a victory in its own right, because you can just learn so much from it as a team. You know, you manage to get the practice down pat in the VOD review there, really analyze where you went wrong and why everything went so right for your opponents. And if you're able to dismantle that and find some success going forward in your scrims and then putting it forward in execution in your officials like today, then you might be able to make a bit more of an impact going forward. So very eager to see how the rematch plays out. You know, we saw our first case of the rematch went 3-1 prediction achieved there in favor of ground 0, and definitely eager to see how things go down in this one as well. You know, whether it's another 3-1 affair, whether it's a clean sweep again from the Vicious, it's all going to come down to practice from both our rosters here today.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very curious to see how Bethany come back to this with new strategies in their hand. We did see Bethany versus Kanga earlier yesterday. It was, it was, yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember. I'm sorry, my memory's a little bit stuffy today. But yeah, they did bring out quite a lot of interesting strategies. I mean, we mentioned, we talked to Zenstari just like before the break, and he was talking about, he saw them do a lot of these portal strategies, and Bethany really enjoyed doing these very interesting, I wouldn't even say unusual, just very, like, we weren't expecting these strategies, and it helped them quite a lot be able to put up quite a big, strong fight against Kanga. So I'm excited to see how they bring those very curious, very strange strategies into this game against the Vicious.
Yeah, and, you know, with the use of those portals, it does take the warfare on the maps to a whole nother level. You know, you think it's just like 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional even. Then we're breaking the 4th dimension with those portals in the denials there, trying to, like, stagger them out in their own spawn, just zone them out entirely. Like, it's crazy the amount of impact they're able to bring out of that one. I think even in one instance in that last series, we saw a portal come through and they were able to stagger out the opposing Strange to stop them from getting their portal off entirely, which was crazy to see the timing on that one there. So definitely keen for more of those curious, strange even moments coming out from all of our rosters here today. And yeah, really eager for what else could come out of the books. You know, what are these teams
Yeah.
cooking? Is it going to be more Thing? Are we going to see Black Panther again come out of the source there? Is it going to be a Namor? Like, there's a lot in store for all of our rosters here, and nothing surprises me anymore out of the heroes that we could see. You know, we even saw Squirrel Girl come out of the mix today for a slight moment, so anything's possible. I want one of the teams to hold on to the Spider-Man, though. You know, I want to see that
Yeah.
spectacular spin again.
We've seen a lot of teams hover the Spider-Man but not bring it out. But it's exciting that we got to see a Namor today between the match of Ground Zero and Kanga Esports. But yeah, yesterday we did see Bethany versus Ground Zero, and that was a very fascinating game to watch with the Portal play as well as the Vicious and Kanga Esports also doing that Portal play too. It's going to be exciting to see what happens here. We are going to, of course, start off with the domination as we usually do, where both teams are both attackers and defenders in their own right, and it's a bit of a clean slate.
That's right. We both get, you know, a slice of the pie in that sense. Everyone gets a turn at being an attacker or a defender. So, definitely going to be proven who can hold their position more effectively there, who can play their role to a T. So we'll be getting into map 1 very shortly here, everybody, and really curious what both these teams are going to be bringing out of the mix. You know, it could be anything coming out of this one. I'm very eager to find out which map we're going to start on. I think we'll be starting on Domination if I'm not mistaken. So, keen for that one. But a reminder again, this match is going to be our lower bracket side of things in the playoffs here. Bethany taking on the Vicious, the rematch of Group B from our group stage here. And here we are. Domination on Bernard T'Challa. Okay, I like what I'm seeing here. And let's see what these bands look like.
Well, bands are very similar to what we've been seeing in the entire tournament. You gotta flip a coin. Is it gonna be Magneto? Is it gonna be Emma Frost? Well, today it looks like the Fishes want to ban out Emma Frost and Bethany want to ban out Magneto. It really is just who wants to pick which Vanguard to start off with. And the Vicious will be protecting Emma Frost. The ban on Loki, we've seen this so many times, and it is just a very popular ban as well. Not quite as popular as the two Vanguards, Magneto and Emma, but I mean, yeah, Loki, such a popular ban.
Such a popular ban indeed, and they will concede that one through. But you know what else is breaking through? Bethany have managed to lock down the Punisher, and we'll see what the next bans are looking like. Ooh, hovering Magneto there, the Vicious. Not keen to deal with that one, so may take it one step away here. Punisher potentially looking to be locked out as well. There we go, both are locked out there. So Bethany take away the Punisher, leave it for themselves, and the Vicious zone out Magneto. So no Meteor M on either side of the scale here, but Bethany eager for the Mantis. So looking a bit similar to how Kanga approached things in our last series, putting a little priority around that Mantis strategist.
Yeah, Mantis is a very, I would say, a strategist that's very exciting to watch and to have in the game. As well with the Punisher Protect, it could be exciting to see how it gets used. Notably, Bethany is not banning any of the flying heroes yet. No Human Torch ban and no Ultron ban. Of course, there is one more ban left, so we'll have to see what they end up choosing. The Vicious is also going to be protecting Mantis, and they also haven't banned any flying heroes. So this may be them trying to counter if a flying hero if there is a possibility of having them here on Bernard T'Challa.
Ooh, I think if Liger's watching right now, Liger would be really happy to see Potato hovering the Moon Knight of all things. We could see that hand of Khonshu coming through, but speaking of flyers, it's going to be Human Torch lockdown immediately for the Vicious there. Potato just teasing us, not going to be locking down the and a Khonshu this time, no Moon Knight. But what I do like to see on the bottom side of things there, Lumi is bringing out Psylocke. We did see Psylocke come out in our last series, and you know how big the impact from that one is, and definitely eager to see how things go down as we get in to the thick of it.
Yep, getting into the thick of it here on Bethany T'Challa. It's a beautiful map and a beautiful place to cause some mayhem. And it's going to be exciting to see these two teams, Bethany and the Vicious, verse off each other once again and see who will be finally claiming victory. Whoever loses here, this is a lower bracket. Whoever loses here will be eliminated in 4th place in Marvel Rivals Ignite Oceania.
That's right, 4th place is going to be locked and loaded from this one, and we'll see who will be locked into position there as the battle is about to begin. The gates are about to open here on Bethany T'Challa into domination, and here comes the fantastic team up coming out on the Vicious side of things there. Eager to see how that one plays out, but both rosters now looking to face off. We have space being cleared here, and the Vicious are on top of the mission area.
They are on top of the mission area. They have control of it so far, but I mean, it's not unlocking until 5 more seconds. But who is unlocked? It is Rib, taking out Bubble. Potato also follows the Vicious very much, starting off with a very strong fight.
Yeah, starting off strong, and they will be able to cleave through control there. So Bethany gonna have to hit the reset on this one, see if they can manage to find a way back in. I like how the Vicious are trying to knock down some of the landscape here as well, because that locks down a lot of the points that they can attack into on this one. You know, it really does chop down some of those lines of sight for Bethany, but Bethany are all focused up high to the sky right now, and they're looking to see if they can zone things out. With a path of fire in front of them, though, it could be a bit of an issue, but we do have some walls coming up from Soupy here, so at least they can block down some of those lines of sight.
Yep, Soupy trying to do their best with the grid. A lot of walls being placed, but so is so much damage onto Soupy. In the meantime, though, Soupy does damage to Rib, who did have the ultimate online and is now back in spawn with it. Soupy also taking down Lumi. It's a one-man show at the moment, and that show is in the name of Soup. Though now Potato stepping up, taking down Adam and Revsy. The flip has been achieved. Bethany are now in control.
That's right. Now it's their time to shine here, and they're going to be able to build up a good amount of a percentage on this one. Do have a few ults around the corner as well. You know, Strangling Prison close by with the Freedom Charge there. They got a lot of strategist ultimates here, but the Vicious, they have almost all their ultimates online and ready to activate. So if they want to steal the point back, they can definitely do it. Here we go. Supernova going to activate in this close choke point here, but Eternal Bond coming out. It could be the saving grace for Bethany here. Speaking of, they're dishing out a lot of damage and consequence as well here. Holding back for a second, not swelling past, and I love the composure from the Vicious. They didn't dedicate all the ultimates, but now Psionic Seduction coming out. It's their time to shine. Fate of Both Worlds going to keep Bethany online, though. So the strategists definitely finding their impact here. Lumi being kept alive as well, but it's the final judgment. Potato, it's time to cleave through here. See if they can shut down the Eternal Bond. They can. Goodbye to Asher. Looking for more. It's time for Leave to burn them alive with the Supernova. Dance of the Butterfly coming out from Revsy as well, though. Does take down Potato there on the KO. Looking to see if they can chop through some more, but the fight just keeps lighting up here. No one is getting on the better end of it. Everybody is trading blows right now, and all the meanwhile, Bethany is still building up percentage.
Yeah, Bethany's building up percentage 72%, but it might change here as the Vicious taking 2. But Bethany are regrouping and able to... No, there will be tactically retreating a little bit here. The Vicious now taking control of the point, and they're approaching 60%. Bethany achieving 79% though in those many fights. Does mean that if they get this point back, it could only be maybe 1 or 2 more fights for Bethany to take this point. But the Vicious, no ultimates for them in sight, with only the Rib at 74% being the closest to getting any ultimate. Bethany, on the other hand, does have Eternal Bond online right now. 99%, there we go. Ticked over to being online. 81%, the Vicious are counting and about to get closer and closer to overtime. And ooh, what a massive start of the fight here, man.
Holy moly, those KOs are coming through in waves right now. Dance of the Butterfly is online as well. They will not need to use it. Jag trying to hold back on the cap here, but they are not going to be able to do much more. And just like that, the Vicious gracefully push the first point over the line there and find their way on top of the hill in Warrior Falls on Bernard T'Challa. So we are going to be jumping in to the next point now. It's time to go to the Imperial Institute of Science. Will Bethany be able to find a comeback here? Will we be able to see the Vicious take complete control of map number 1 and stroll away? It all comes down to this.
It really does come down to this fight. And if we're looking at the stats here, we can see Revsy getting 14 knockouts. They also do have the Dance of the Butterfly available for themselves too. This could go the way of the Vicious in the start of the fight, but not if Bubble has anything to say about it. They have Eternal Bond online. The Sustain is available for the Bethany, for the hands of the strategists. So whether or not they can time it perfectly to be able to keep the team alive so that Revsy does not take them out, it's all in the hands of Bubble.
That's right, all in the hands of Bubble. Hopefully they don't pop, otherwise we could be in a bit of trouble there. And luckily for them, you know, they got a bit of reinforcement with the Eternal Bond online, so everything may be okay, at least for now. But mission area unlocking in just under 10 seconds now. Bethany holding on the side of the point here. We'll see if they can activate gracefully into this one, because the Vicious have offensive ultimates online from their duelists right now. There it is. Supernova going to be locked down, targeting the Punisher there. Good night, Potato, looking to see if they can crash into anyone else as well. And they're trying to take down the opposing Torch here. Proving to be an issue. Invisible Boundary coming up though from the Vicious. They are looking to keep themselves alive as long as they possibly can. Fate of Both Worlds from Oink there. Great for Bethany here. Look at this comeback. Lead is steaming past. Doubling down onto it. Psionic Seduction from Adam though could be exactly what they need to bounce back. A Bubble gets popped. Trying to shut down Jag. They will tag him away. And Rip gonna be tracking down Potato again. Poor Potato. They get sent down to the point, they come back, and they get sent straight away again.
Well, the Vicious are able to cap that point from a massive winning fight that they just had against Bethany. Both strategist ultimates have been popped, all 4 of them from both teams. So now coming into this fight, it might be time for Liam on that Human Torch and Revsy on that Psylocke to shine. And now here it goes. Out starts the Assemble and the Dance of the Butterfly. Revsy not able to find anyone as they are walled off by the group, by Sophie. And now Jag with the Assemble has been able to make quite a lot of room for themselves for Bethany, but no, they're still stuck in the spawn as Revsy takes that Bubble. Hey, Oink, Potato, Soupy, they're all falling to the hands of the Vicious.
Ooh, yeah, all falling down. Liam going to be shut out, imprisoned in spawn there, and we'll see if they are going to be able to boost themselves back up onto the point. You know, one thing I think of as a potential solution right now, if they wanted to try and get some presence back, is honestly potentially a Strange Portal. You know, that could be something to elevate them back onto the point there, but they might not be considering it as yet as the Supernova comes up. They are trying to burn things down. Potato on the Final Judgment as well, trying to see if they can push some damage through, but none of the Vicious are in sight. This Final Judgment could just run down its duration. Ooh, they're getting some damage, but there you go. The Vicious doing a great job to navigate the landscape and dodge that damage entirely, but Potato with the shotgun does find the impact in the end there, doubling down onto it, looking to see if they're good for 3 as well. The walls are proving to be their friend and foe in this one, and it's Psionic Seduction coming out from Adam right now. Fate of Both Worlds from Oink there. Liam trying to burn things with Supernova. Invisible Boundary coming up. Strangling Prison. Everything is coming up. There it is. It looks like the Vicious maybe were listening there and got that portal up, trying to keep this percentage alive. But Bethany will get it over the line. Good fine strike from Soupy in the end there. 99%. And they finally get on the map.
Yeah, early in that fight when Potato was popping that Final Judgment, it was interesting you pointing out they were just trying to avoid it, and they were able to keep both strategists ultimates online for a while, but maybe it was a bit too long, as by the time Asher finally popped the Eternal Bond, they had lost 3 members of the Vicious already. But now Atlas, who went through that portal that Lumi created, popped the ultimate there last second too, so now no strategy ultimate for this fight, but Lumi doesn't care, taking down Potato with a big dive. Jag now popping his Sambo and Bubble, also using the Eternal Bond to try and keep the team alive to build up that percentage on the point, 33%. But remember, the Vicious is on 99%. Now with Adam taking out Jag, this could be Vicious turning the point into their favor and potentially taking the entire map.
Can you believe it? We'll see if they are going to be able to find it. Oh, Lumi does find Bubble there. Looking out for Soupy. Say goodbye. They are pushing them back quick as lightning here. Bethany struggling to stay on the mission area. Potatoes down. It's all falling apart, but they managed to find someone in the back line. They're keeping this OT alive.
Ooh.
But it's all too little too late. Poor Jag must go down. Good KO coming through. And that's map 1 for the Vicious. The Imperial Institute of Science is going to be claimed by them. So, 1 down and potentially many more to go here, Rice. Rib on the MVP though.
Yeah, Rib on that Human Torch. We did see a lot of the picks and bans for tags leaning towards both of these two teams wanting to play that flying heroes, flying meta, you know, being able to ban out all of the banning out Mantis, banning out Punisher as well, and that did mean that Liam and Rib were able to play that Human Torch. But look at Rib's damage, look at Rib's knockouts. They definitely performed extremely well on that Human Torch.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree with you more there. You know, you saw the impact of the supernovas coming out, like Rib, Liam doing work for their teams there. They really managed to keep them up, keep them elevated time and time again there, and it goes to show the importance of that Human Torch pick and potentially why it was banned out all the time in the last series there. You know, they don't want to deal with the supernova. The heat gets a little bit too hot. They don't have anything to freeze it away. Maybe Lunar Snow, you know, can freeze it away, but I don't think that's going to cut it this time around. But still, the Vicious taking away map number 1 there on domination. A great start from them, you know, trying to see if we can have a full sense of deja vu, get a repeat in history for them from their matchup in the group stage. But Bethany, this is their time to prove themselves. And let's take a look at some of those highlights from Bernard T'Challa.
Bernard T'Challa was such a fun map with the Vicious taking that first fight with a massive start. And now Potato here with the rest of the team of Bethany were able to turn it back a little bit and were able to win a couple of fights. But yeah, the Vicious felt like they were in control fairly often in this map. But of course, Bethany able to do quite a lot still. Excited to see what they end up banning and protecting next map after this rematch of the Vicious goes once again to the Vicious.
That's right, we'll see what is going to be coming through as our highlights come to their conclusion there, and Rib is the one to burn through. So, really great impacts coming out on the Vicious in map number 1 there. Excited to see what our second one could be too. You know, is it going to be Convoy Convergence? I don't know what's going to be on the table, but the teams certainly have the decision in their hands, and I am going to be excited no matter where it lands. You know, I love to see it, but, you know, we're going to find out all the answers right after we get back from a break. We will see you very, very soon.
Remember the dusk, the lights gripping tightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do
Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 1 Oceania Playoffs, day number 2 here. We are on the lower end of the bracket right now, seeing Bethany take on the Vicious. In a repeat of our group stage here, it's time to get engaged and get fired up because the Vicious have already taken map number 1, but will Bethany be able to band together, rejuvenate themselves, and bring it all the way back in map 2, Ricey?
Well, we have seen this game before. We've seen these. What's the second? We've seen these games before, and we have been Bethany and the Vicious versus each other earlier in the group stage last week, and it was a 2-0 victory for the Vicious. But of course, Bethany have had a week to reflect and to think about how they want to change things up, what strategies they want to do. Maybe change up their bans and protects a little bit. Now, coming into this next map, they will be able to choose what they want to do, and it's looking like a convergence map, potentially Central Park. So if this is the map that Bethany picks, I'm excited to see what strategies come with it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see how it's gonna go down on this one. We've been here before, and we are so back. So, definitely excited to see how things will be engaged into this next one. You know, I think we got Ratatoska, if I'm not mistaken, coming out of this one. So, we'd love to see all the unique mission vehicles. You know, we got Herbie, we got Ratatoska, I think we got Arako as well.
Arako?
So,
Yep.
Love to see it, and keen to see more.
Yeah, keen to see more maps and more Marvel lore coming into Marvel Rivals. It's exciting to see things. I love the Marvel Universe, so it's exciting to see them all come together in this very fun game of Marvel Rivals. But we're about to have a very fun game ourselves here, Maddie, between Bethany and the Vicious.
Oh yeah, we are. We're going to be getting straight into the mix here, into the thick of it. It's going to be map 2. Coming here live, Bethany taking on the Vicious here in this best of 5. Central Park on Convergence going to be the second map, and we're already locking down some of our bands. Protects, it's going to be Emma Frost banned out by the Vicious there. Magneto going to be banned out by Bethany with another follow-up with the Loki going goodbye. But the Protect is going to be Magneto for Bethany and Emma Frost for the Vicious. So they're trading vanguards here.
Yeah, they are trading with the Protect coming out from the Vicious on Emma Frost. Some teams do have preferences between Magneto and Emma Frost, but also it could be more of a target ban. Maybe some vanguards are known more for Emma Frost or Magneto. I do remember seeing Magneto, I think, in the hands of Adam earlier in the group stage, and it was a little bit scary. So that could be a very respectful ban. Of course, the vanguards on both teams look scary indeed. Now seeing a Punisher ban from the Vicious onto Bethany, as well as a Lunar Snow ban from Bethany onto the Vicious.
Oh yeah, definitely changing things up here, you know. I like to see all the different landscapes that both teams choose to take. Lunar Snow being banned out does mean there's no Fate of both worlds, but seeing the Ultron left open is really scary, especially in the hands of the Vicious. Now getting that on the Protect, not having the Punisher available disposes of one of the cards you could use to try and shut down Ultron there, you know, swoop them out of the sky. But speaking of the skies, there's not going to be any flame in the skies as the Human Torch is now banned, but Lunar Snow is saved by Bethany here. So they're going to be able to access that Fate of both worlds, keep themselves alive a while longer with that strategist available.
Yeah, the strategist available for Bethany, Lunar Snow, but looks like the Vicious do not want them to play Ultron, but they want Ultron for themselves. Ultron has been a very interesting pick so far in this tournament, in Ignite, where it can be one of the sort of pseudo anchors for a flying composition. And looks like the Vicious do not want to verse that sort of composition from Bethany, but we do still see Liam on the Human Torch.
Oh yeah, we are still going to be seeing that Human Torch come through from Bethany there. So Supernova has not been extinguished in its entirety. At least one team going to be bringing that one out. And Very excited to see how they can play this one out, as a matter of fact, as we are going to be jumping in to the fray. Central Park, it's time to get into the thick of it. Time to bring out your very best. And very curious to see if the Vicious are going to hold on to the Rocket Raccoon there. Nope, it's going to be Jeff time. It's Jeff time. We love that ultimate, but I lied. It's going to be Cloak and Dagger. They always like to, tease us in the initial phase here.
They definitely do. They like to discuss things, maybe use some of these benefits to help them get out faster to where they need to go. But this is a beautiful, beautiful place for some Skrills to live. But of course, it's going to be them. It's going to be Bethany trying to attack onto the Vicious, who are trying to stop Ratatoska from being stolen.
That they are, but Bethany already have used the portal to their advantage. Going to be getting the vantage point behind them here, and we'll see if they are going to be able to get into high gear on this one. As they hold back a second longer here, Jag and Co. looking to flow their way down, but have opponents they have to be wary of here. Liam getting a bit of damage through there. KO could be coming out onto Psylocke, but not quite yet. Rib escapes just at the perfect moment. Atlas taking a bit of punishment as well. Bethany doing a good job to stay around the sides of the map here. Stay in those closer quarters. Don't give Ultron a way to take them down.
Yeah, Revsy on Ultron already having 60% of their ultimate. I believe, yeah, that is the closest one. Though Bubble, though, is extremely close as well. Revsy being able to take down Soupy with a massive shot from the skies. Rib also now taking down Jag. Bethany falling apart slowly. And the Vicious able to keep control of the point. While Bethany was so close to getting that first tick, they will not be able to, as the Vicious hold the door.
Hold the door and hold it tightly shut. We'll see if they are going to be able to keep it shut, though. We could have the side of Bethany trying to ram their way through. Potato switching out to Hela, the goddess of hell, coming through there. That can be a really good change up here, but we'll see if it's going to work out for them. Rib trickling through a lot of damage onto this one. I might just find the KO. There we go. Bubblecar going to be taken down on the Cloak and Dagger. That's a strategist down. Following suit, it's Lumi out of town now on the cap. So they're trading blows again here. Rib being a bit sneaky with the KO on the Liam as well. No one able to elevate themselves over the line here. And the Vicious are doing a great job at holding them on this choke point.
They are doing a good job, and out comes the dance of the butterfly from Rib, but it is countered by Oink with Fate of both boats. But both strategies also being used by Bethany, as Cloak and Dagger's Eternal Bond is now on the point, but there is still Atlas's Eternal Bond, which is being used right now, and Rib taking advantage and takes down Bubble, takes down Potato, Oink as well. There are no strategists also Bethany, no sustain, while the Vicious are still have Ashes in hand.
Yeah, poor Rib wasn't able to get the impact they wanted out of the Dance of the Butterfly, but it didn't matter because them and their team managed to redeem themselves in the aftermath there. But speaking of the aftermath, Bethany now, 3 ults online on both sides. Who will be able to find the better end of it? That's going to be the big decider, the big question. They're hunting them down, and here comes the Freedom Charge. Lumi diving in on those strategists there, trying to see if they can shut them down hastily here. Oink, almost out of it. There we go. Do find the KO, doubling down from both Vanguards here on the Vicious. So doing a grand job to keep them as far away from the mission area as possible.
Yeah, the Vicious are very aggressive here on the defense. If you didn't know they were in defense, you'd be thinking that they are on the attack with how far towards the enemy they are playing, how far away from the point they are playing. Rib still in the back line, in the middle of everything, taking out Potato and going for more. Now Asher also using the ultimate, but what is this? It may be a little bit of a back cap, but only Revsy is going to have a look at what's going on.
Yeah, not going to be able to find much out of it. It's going to be 10 seconds to go right now. Bethany trying to go for their final push, final hurdle here. They have plenty ultimates online. Speaking of ultimates, though, the Vicious bring out force, bring out fire, but it doesn't matter. Bethany were just about to cook up a storm with the Galactic Legend there, but no one was able to tap the point in time. So the side switch is going to come out. Bethany are going to have to play the game of their lives right now as the Vicious come out on top on the defense.
Yeah, Bethany's best hope here is a draw on this map. If they're able to full hold the Vicious like they did to them, they may be able to still get that draw in their hands. But if not, the Vicious are looking very well primed and prepped to take this map for themselves, bringing them up to match point. And potentially versing Kanga tomorrow in the lower bracket finals. But I mean, Bethany, they're going to have to do a big fight here. They are on the back foot. And, ooh, the stats do not tell a good story for themselves.
No, the stats are not looking great at the moment. You know, there's 0 casualties on a lot of the Vicious members right now, with only Revsy and Lumi being taken down there thus far. So Bethany definitely going to have to put in the hard yards here to try and see if they can hold them off for dear life here. It's going to be a tough one. You know, it's a tough endeavor, especially after the way that the first half went there. But we'll see if they are going to be able to find a new strategy, engaging in to the next sector now as we dive straight into it. All hands on deck here. It's time to play. It's time to take it away.
Yeah, Bethany playing with also a Psylocke in the hands of Potato. It's going to be exciting to see if Psylocke is able to get any of those angles that Rib was able to get and is trying to get right now as well on attack. CP on the grid, has to try and play, of course, up the front and keep the team alive, but Rib takes out Potato in a 1v1 Psylocke duel. But remember, there is, of course, Emma Frost in the game as well, which means Rib does get that clone, does get that extra team-up ability, and using it, they're able to do a little bit more damage, a little bit more annoying things in the backline. Now, Rib takes down Jag, Soupy falls as well, and the tick, it's just been achieved! You blink and you miss it! Less than a minute! And the Vicious take this map.
Oh yeah, that they will. So, a very dominating approach there coming out on map number 2 of Central Park there. River taking away the MVP. Honestly, well deserved. You know, they played really well on that Psylocke. I was impressed with how they managed to navigate playing the flanking type role on the duelist there. Definitely looking solid and really kept Bethany on their toes. It's unfortunate Bethany weren't able to really navigate things as well as they would have liked there. You know, we saw some potential come through from them, but alas, it was dismantled in almost its entirety from the Vicious there. So this does mean the Vicious going to be able to take away almost a clean run on that one, and they are now at series point.
They are indeed at series point. They are 1 map away from meeting Kanga in that lower bracket finals tomorrow. I'm sure they're excited for that rematch. They did play Kanga earlier yesterday, where they did lose to Kanga, Kanga was the one that pushed them down into the lower bracket. But we can't count Bethany out just yet, of course. Though while it does look a little bit dire for them, I'm sure they have that fire, that burning desire in them to still take the next map and potentially give us a reverse sweep.
Oh yeah, I would love to see it. You know, I'm always rooting for the underdog. Was rooting for Pig Team in Group A. Now I'm rooting for Bethany out of Group B right now. Definitely eager to see if they are going to be able to bring it back and take at least 1 map out of this, as we have our eyes on the prize, the highlights right now. I was really impressed with the confidence on Illumi and Adam, especially in this moment, playing those Vanguards. They managed to lock down a lot of KOs because they just got in their face, not allowing those strategists any flexibility to safely heal up their team at all. And it was just absolute chaos on the server in that one, Rise.
Yeah, a very short but sweet, fast action-packed game that we just had between these two teams, between Bethany and the Vicious. But we do have at least 1 more map coming up. It is going to be a big fight for Bethany to try and take this back into their hands. But it really is in the hands of the Vicious to close it out. We'll see you guys after this short break.
좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 마 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 생각은 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 자신을 춰봐 한도 믿어 내일까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 날려서 세계 운명 눈이 부신 모든 순간들 지켜내야 해 내게 주어지는 면 꿈꿔는 너와 나 그리들의 승리와 명예
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are back with Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 1 Oceania Playoffs. Day number 2 here. We are on the lower side of the bracket right now, and we are cooking up a storm in this one. The Vicious have been absolutely popping off.
They have indeed been popping off with them taking both the first 2 maps between Bethany and the Vicious. Bethany a little bit on the back foot now, definitely looking like the underdogs, but it really is in the hands of the Vicious to take this series home. They are on series points.
That they are, series point, and bearing that in mind, I think to Bethany, Bethany, they might need to call Xavier because they're going to need all the hope they can get out of this one. And we'll see if they are going to be able to bring some of that hope into this next series. It's going to be a tight one with all or nothing into this third map here.
No, definitely indeed. They definitely have to have that hope, those dreams, those passion to try and bring this back into a reverse sweep. Things do look a little bit dire with the fact that Bethany was not able to get not even one tick on that first point on convergence, while on the other hand, the Vicious were able to full hold it and be able to take that first tick with under less than 1 minute. So fantastic work from Bethany, and fantastic work from the Vicious in that first map. And now it's Bethany who has to try and pick one more map and maybe start a reverse sweep story.
We'll see if they are going to be able to do it. I'm hopeful that Bethany can take at least one map out of this one. Fingers crossed for them, but the Vicious are looking extra confident here today, looking to go for that rematch against Kanga. We'll see if we do have the repeat, the rematch coming out into our final day of playoffs, just like we saw on day 1. Definitely going to be exciting and curious to see what map we're going to be placed in as well. Is it going to be... Oh, here we go. Speaking of maps, we got a convoy. So, they know exactly what I'm talking about. We're locked in. Ooh, Yggdrasil Path coming out this time. Okay, we aren't going to see Araco mid-down Spider Islands. No, we are going to see Yggdrasil Path picked out by Bethany this time around. So, let's see if this is going to be their confidence pick coming out to try and take a map.
Exactly, this is Bethany's potential last chance. It's going to be their last chance multiple times in a row here. Otherwise, they will be locked into 4th place in the Marvel Rivals Ignite Oceania tournament. This is the lower bracket. It is their final chance. It's their last stand here. If they lose this map, they will be eliminated. And so they definitely want to stay in the tournament. They definitely want to raise their standings in here. So this map of Yggdrasil Path may be their last chance.
That's it. It could be their last chance, could be their last stand here. And who better to bring you out in moments like that than Wolverine with the last stand ultimate there. We'll see if they are going to be bringing it in to this one. It's going to be a fun time ahead indeed. Both teams are going to be pumped up. They're going to be good to go momentarily here. And definitely eager to see how they can manage to hold strong as they get themselves amped up into this potential last map.
Exactly. I mean, the Vicious looking so strong. We even saw them bring out 4 strategists there at the end, bringing out a little bit of a cheeky Jeff alongside Ultron and the 2 mainstay support strategists, and they still looked really strong. So much damage output coming out from them, and they're able to get that first point, that first tick very quickly. So I'm excited to see what they bring out here in this next map, whether they're going to be cooking up something very different and strange as well, or if they're going to be playing something more mainstream and give us a final big show.
Yeah, we'll see, huh? We'll see if it's going to be something strange or whether it could be something fantastic. You know, I want to see that Brainiac bounce come out. I want to see Mr. Fantastic. Come on, they got to show us. Surely we see Mr. Fantastic come out of one of these endeavors. Surely today's the day. Maybe not. Maybe not. But I can dream. We can dream. And we'll see if our dreams come true once we do get in to our third and potentially a final matchup here. It's going to be exciting times ahead for both of our squadrons. I am absolutely certain. And, you know, thinking to our pick ban protect phase there, I'm curious what is going to be able to be allowed through for one thing, but what are we shut out? You know, are we going to see Ultron shut out entirely? Are we going to see things let through again? It's all up for questioning here.
Definitely all up for questioning. It is a very exciting time. We may be able to see something unusual. You know, Bethany pulling up some last ditch effort, you know, some hidden cards that they've got stored away. Or we might see, you know, the Vicious cook up something exciting too. So yeah, we're in it. And we're gonna have a look at all these picks, bans, protects.
Let's see what they can do here. Ooh. So stock standard so far. Magneto and Emma taking out Loki. Saying goodbye as well there with Emma protected for the Vicious. Punisher could be protected for Bethany there. High impact duelist if they lock it down. I do like how they're hovering over some of the niche picks there, like the Black Widow and the Spider-Man, by the way. Like, they always tease us like that, you know? Yeah, and Mr. Fantastic. Rib maybe is hearing me, you know, spiritually there. Maybe he wants to bring it out, but Loki is not going to be brought out.
Yeah, Loki banned by both teams. We never really see Loki. We haven't seen Loki at all in these two teams, and it's just Loki is such a strong pick here in Oceania, so no surprise on that. Of course, Magneto, Emma Frost, very similar bans. Both Magneto and Emma Frost has been banned by the Vicious, so Bethany are not able to play either of those two vanguards, and so that has forced Bethany's hand into protecting Doctor Strange.
Let's see if that is going to make a big impact for them. We did see Portal Warfare earlier. We could see it all over again right now as well. Lunar Snow. Ooh, that could be a big one to take away there. Fate of Both Worlds, definitely a high impact strategist ultimate, and neither side is going to use it now. So, one more protect to come through from the Vicious. Who are they going to lock in? Soul Resurgence on Mantis. Going to be prioritized here, as well as the Sedate there. So we'll see if they can find some use from that strategist here. And what aren't they going to be able to use? That is up to Bethany. Psylocke definitely made a big impact into the last map there on Central Park. So curious to see if they do lock that one down. There we go. It's locked in when we're going to be into the map.
Psylocke ban coming out from Bethany makes a lot of sense. We saw Lumi on Bethany on the Psylocke being absolutely frustrating and annoying. So I can see that ban being a very strong ban for them. But yeah, interesting to look at what they're hovering right now. I don't know if this is true or if this is going to be staying in place, but both Jeffs potentially. Nope, of course, that was just a tease, a bit of a tease for us.
They always do this. They always tease us like that, you know. It's sad times, but it's happy times into this map here and now. I'd love to see if Soupy stays on the Jeff for this one. I think this map definitely has some great potential for the It's Jeff ultimate there. So curious to see if they are going to be able to use it here. I like this triple strategist setup around that as well. You know, they've got more supportive endeavors there with their strategists lined up, but alas, Soupy ain't playing Jeff. Ain't gonna happen. So we will see Bubblecar and Oink take up the mantle on strategist. I wanted to see the Jeff vault, you know, I wanted to see him take him off the map. That would be huge, but maybe later. We're saving it.
Maybe later. But I'm excited to see. It's like, oh, maybe we do get to see the rocket, but no, of course, it's going to be switching over to Poke and Dagger. But what a kidnap coming up from Lumi immediately. And now Soupy taking out straight away. Bethany on defense here, forced to back away with one less Vanguard. And oh, the damage coming up from the Vicious. It's quite intense. And so, well, Bethany, potentially switching to Jeff here.
Ooh. Okay. They must be listening in or something. This is crazy. You know, they're hearing me. Soupy, shout out to you for bringing that one out. We'll see if it does find the impact that needs. Rib gonna be holding on right now. KO comes through on a potato there, doubling down on it, looking to see if they can hunt down Soupy here as well. Not gonna be able to do it. Good retreat, tactical retreat even, coming out from Bethany, but all the meanwhile, Soupy's still being hunted. And they will be able to slip away in the end. The Vicious, though, they get it over the line and they take control.
5 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. The Vicious have so much time. But also the ultimates are being built up. Revsy has 95%. And they're about to have that Rage of Ultron online. Bethany, though, don't have anything just yet. So they're all around about 90% maximum. And now here's the Rage of Ultron. But ooh, it might be shut down by Lee. He's doing lots of damage onto that poor Ultron in the sky. But I don't know if we should say poor, because look at the distance that the Vicious has traveled. With less than 5 minutes remaining, that is still so much time. Now Asher popping their ultimate to keep the team alive. So does Oink. Out comes Invisible Boundary. But Rivers going Supernova inside that boundary, trying to do as much damage, and is successful as Liam gets taken out.
Taken out, when in doubt, taken out, and there's going to be more of that. Asher chimes in, a goodbye potato, and we'll see who else is going to be joining the roster there, as a lot of damage is trickling through, and Jag is gone. A good KO from Atlas there on the Cloak and Dagger, and the mission vehicle continues to progress forward halfway towards the second stage here, and Bethany need to find a way to engage onto this one. But, you know, the big potential here is we could see the Jeff Nader come out for the first time here. Here we go. Omega Hurricane coming out there. Soupy ready. Jeff Nader time! Woo-hoo! We do see the KO come through of that one. Asher, the first to fall, but they're trading back already onto Jag.
Jeff Nader only getting one is so unfortunate for Team Bethany, while the Vicious have already capped. Now 5 minutes of the clock to get this final last stretch. The Vicious look extremely strong, and Bethany just look a little bit lost. Jag and Potato, they both have their ultimates available for trying to do some last fights here, but there's going to be so many last fights with so much time on the board. Revsy does have their Rage of Ultron online once again, but so does Lumi as well. We could see the Star-Lord take to the skies with Revsy and do so much damage. Now Revsy with the Rage of Ultron, and now Potato trying to take him down with a final punishment. Revsy, Lumi, they are falling. Bethany are standing their ground.
Standing strong, standing tall, refusing to fall here, and they need to do exactly that, especially at this stage. I love how they delayed the KO onto Adam there as well. Want to stagger them out, nullify some of that Vanguard impact here, and eager to see if they're going to hold on a while longer in this one, as they've still got a lot more gas in the tank, still have more potential to tap into here. But we'll see if they can do it, as the Vicious are starting to build themselves up. Ultron trickling out the damage. Here's the Galactic Legend. It's time, Rice!
It is time for Lumi, but Lumi gets dangerously low, has to go back into safety. And now it's Rip's turn to go Supernova, going and aiming for many members of Bethany, but somehow Bubble stays alive. Oink stays alive just barely. But no, they finally get taken down by Lumi and Rib. The Jewelers from the Vicious are going crazy onto Bethany.
That they are going absolutely wild and styling on it. You'll love to see it, and they have imprisoned them into spawn now. Omega Hurricane coming out, a last-ditch effort from Liam here, trying to find the impact. Oh, we go! Is down. They managed to get onto the convoy just in time. 2.36 meters there. The Vicious almost taking it away. Luckily, Bethany had other members focused up on the back line there. Otherwise, the Vicious could have swept it away.
Well, the Vicious still want to sweep things away as out comes the Eternal Bond from Atlas. Revsy now with the Rage of Ultron doing an aggressive fight, taking down 2, 3, a triple KO for Revsy. But no, that's not just all. The entire team of Bethany have been wiped out. The Vicious finish this attack with well over 2 minutes remaining.
Oh my gosh, can you believe it? They are gonna be straight on track there. 2 minutes of 40 time left. So if it does push into the overtime sector, they have a plentiful amount of flexibility here, and we'll see what they are going to be able to bring now as Bethany going to have to try their best to launch the attack of a lifetime here. And the Vicious are already changing up the landscape. You know, Lumi hovering over the Black Widow. Don't think we're going to see it, but maybe we could. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a Black Widow here to try and shut down some of these attacks. But, you know, anything's possible. And let's take a look at the stats here.
Well, the stats are definitely, of course, looking in the favor of the Vicious. Rib 19 and 0. Of course, Atlas as well on the strategist. Also 0 casualties. These players are looking so strong, and Bethany are not able to touch them at all.
Yeah, having such a tough time trying to get close to their opponents there. You know, trying to see if they can stop them in their tracks. But we'll see if they are going to be able to find the impact they're searching for here. I like how Lumi is on the cap right now. Freedom Charge are definitely going to allow them a lot more time on defense towards the convoy there. And curious to see how it plays out as we jump towards the point once again. Jeff NATO potential is online here, so Bethany could use that to elevate themselves, but the Vicious might be anticipating it, you know, might be looking to hold back a second. Here we go, Adam. Taking a lot of damage there. Good to keep the shielding up for their team on the Vanguard there. Lumi need to pounce around as well, and it's Asher dealing damage from afar. The strategist got a bit of bite in them too, and they are trying to force them all the way back. Does Spawn. See you later. Rip is just locking down these targets right now. This is tough.
Yeah, Riv definitely from the skies doing so much damage. Rain from above. We have Potato on the Punisher to try and punish any of these fly heroes. You know, Revsy and Rib are both controlling the skies, and they are looking good. But Rib being able to use all the protection from the buildings makes it extremely hard to target. And now Potato is getting also harassed by Lumi, but takes Lumi down. That is one knockout in favor of Bethany. So Bethany is slowly moving the convoy, moving the goats of Asgard around that corner. But with 2 minutes 46 remaining, they will likely be able to push it quite much further here, but the Vicious still have plenty of time and plenty of ultimates about to be to their disposal.
That's right. Rage of Ultron are going to be on the line here. TP could be coming through as well. This can be good. Here we go. Jumping into it with the Rage of Ultron there. Adam going to be able to get a lot of damage through, shutting down Lehman. Co. Psionic Seduction could push them back into the fray as well there. There we go. Potato on for the KO there. And they are not activating any more ultimates. Really smart from the Vicious there. You know, they want to hold on to as many ultimates as they can and not use them wastefully. This is going to be a great way to manage their ult economy with an Eye of Agamotto close by as well.
That is true. There's 5 ultimates in the hands of the Vicious, including, of course, the Eye of Agamotto. But Potato is going to be using the first one, the Final Judgment, as well as the Eternal Bond from Bubble. Going to be trying to sustaining themselves and pushing the cart further, pushing those goats as fast as they can. But the Vicious do not want to bite. They are just waiting around the corner. Ludi getting a little bit harassed in the back line, but Jag goes in with the Agamotto getting 3. Now leave Jag. Potato taking advantage, taking out 3 members of the Vicious. Bethany are looking to cap this first point, and they are looking good doing it. 1 minute, 26 seconds. They may be able to get lots of time making themselves for the second point, but no. Lumi is here with the Eye of Agamotto.
Good timing on that one too. Does delay them a little bit longer here. You know, the Vicious, sure, they will lose out a couple of casualties there, but at least they are staggering out the convoy here. Speaking of, Soul Resurgence coming out. Look, they're just trying to waste time right now. It doesn't matter if they get KO'd out as long as they can hold on to the point. The Cloak and Dagger bringing out the Eternal Bond as well. It's great, but Revsy going down, not going to be so great here. Potato fighting a lot. There's the Jeff NATO as well in the background there. They're getting some impact out of this one, but the Vicious are still online. They're still on the point right now. Like, Lumi bringing out the Venom. You can tell they are just trying to bounce around this point and stall out time as long as possible here. But eventually, that time must come to an end, and they will get it past the first phase.
They do. Bethany getting that first point. That first checkpoint is very important. Now, with less than 3 minutes remaining, they have to try and get through this next one and then the next one. But remember, the Vicious have 2 minutes 40 for their entire time bank and making it to the end. And now Bethany are only just reaching 240 themselves. It may be a bit struggle for them to have that same amount of time bank. Now we have Lean on Storm, able to take a pick onto Rib, which is very important. But Revsy, now with the Rage of Ultron, rains anger down from the skies. But Bubble, using the Eternal Bond, gives them a little bit of space, and Bethany keeps moving the payload, moving the convoy forward.
That's it, convoy on the move, and they're gonna be groovy with it. Psionic Seduction coming out from Adam right now. Getting a KO is Bubblecar. Nice stuff from the Cloak and Dagger. We'll see if they can find more. Potato locking it down for 3. Their team pulls through as well. That is gonna spell more progression towards the second checkpoint here. The Vicious locked out of this one, and they may have to run it back into the third and final checkpoint. Look at them, they're trying to storm out, but it looks like they have conceded the fact that they will have to try and hold them back into the next one instead. But Bethany, they are pumping themselves up right now. This is amazing to see the comeback potential from them here.
Comeback potential, especially with this final judgment coming out. But out comes Ash's strategist ultimate as well to keep everyone sustained and healthy. Potato getting negated, but not negated enough as Revsy falls to the other Punisher. But Potato has to back off a little bit as there's a lot of damage coming out from the Vicious, especially with Assemble being used by Lumi. The Vicious now have to try and be careful of this Sharknado combination from Liam and Soupy. And it gets 1, it gets 2. Double KO for them, but in the meantime, the Vicious have taken multiple of Bethany, including Jeff, including Soupy, Potato, and Oink. Jack falls now too, but Lean is still in the skies, trying to do as much as they can, but they fall as well. 2 minutes 20 on the clock is now lower than what the Vicious ended with.
Still going to be a potential for the OT here, though. We'll see if Bethany can get that mission vehicle on the move here, as they do have some big pieces to deal with. You know, they've got the Eternal Bond online, sure, but aggressive ultimates from the duelists here, Revsy and Rib, could be staggering indeed as they are holding back. Here we go, Final Judgment, it's time! Let's cook!
Ooh. They are cooking indeed. 1, 2, a double KO for Revsy. But of course, Liam also has fallen from Bethany. And now Oink falls. With now 2 remaining members, Bethany do have to respect. They are all the way in their spawn. They are terrified of the Vicious.
They're shaking in their boots there. They are going to be held back at the spawn point. Supernova going to be online as well. You know, we'll see. Here we go. It's going to be locked in. A Bubblecar trying to keep their team alive with the Eternal Bond there. And they do find Adam. Good double down on it. We'll see if they are going to be able to pressure them even more, as they will be able to push the mission vehicle. Finally, at last, it will slip around the bend here. But little do they realize, or maybe they do, Lumi is going to be right behind them, and that could be a big thorn in their side, especially at this stage of the game here.
Only 60 seconds left.
Yeah, indeed. Lumi on the flank on the Captain America. Be extremely annoying, but Adam also has that seduction online and is using it on the members of Bethany. But Oink does have that sustain ultimate available for themselves, keeping everyone alive. But Judgment now, time to be judging the team of the Vicious. And they're going to do a lot of damage, but of course Asher with the invisible boundary stops everything in their track. But there's only 35 seconds left remaining for Bethany to push this final section. There's only a few meters left. They're going to try their best, but Looney now assembling the team of the Vicious towards himself, towards the team of Bethany. I am going to be used as well. I don't believe it finds anyone as Jagna gets stunned out. And now the team of the Vicious are cleaning up. 15 seconds left on the clock, and Bethany retouch in time.
Oh, they're going to be trying to test it here, but it may not be the way. 5 seconds to go. They're bringing out the Venom, trying to dive onto the point. It just ain't happening. Just like that, everybody. It is going to be the Vicious taking it away in a 3-0 clean sweep there. Say goodbye to Bethany as they will be closed out into 4th place. And now the Vicious lock in their chance to face off against Kanga into the lower bracket tomorrow.
You said it correctly. You said exactly how I wanted to say it, Matsy. The fact is now Bethany has now been locked into 4th place. They'll be walking away with $6,000 for themselves. 4th place for them. Congratulations though on making it this far, Bethany. But it is of course going to be the Vicious heading over through the lower brackets and going to be versing off Kanga for a rematch tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be the rematch coming out between the Vicious and Kanga. Cannot believe what we are gonna be seeing before our eyes tomorrow. We've got, our last match in the lower bracket and our grand final. And we've got our top 3 teams, Top 4 going to be locked in there with Bethany. And we get to find out who will be placed in what position in the top 3 by the conclusion of tomorrow. But I got to say, a big shout out to Bethany for making it as far as they have in the tournament. Managing to push through into the playoffs and giving it their all. Really big props to them as a team.
Yeah, Bethany performed extremely well in the group stage. Unfortunately, we don't get to see them much more, but hopefully we get to see them in future tournaments as well. It would be great to have them come back, of course, but, well, I'm excited to see this rematch between the Vicious and Kanga. It's once again a rematch of the ages, where we got to see the Vicious, who used to be known as Platinum Star, in the Invitationals, verse off against Kanga, where then Kanga took 1st place and the Vicious getting 2nd place. This was how both of these 2 teams ended up here in the Ignite. They took those 2 slots from the Invitationals, and now they're going to be versing off once again in the lower bracket finals, where only one of them can make it through to verse Ground Zero in the grand finals.
That's it. Only one will find their place there. But, one good thing about this race is that with our top 4 teams being locked in, we do know who is going to have a direct invite into Stage 2 later on in the year. So definitely get excited for that on the horizon later on into the piece. Obviously we saw teams from the Invitational get a direct invite into Stage 1 here, and we've got teams from Stage 1 getting invited into Stage 2 as well. So get excited for seeing some of these teams again, at least in another landscape later on into the year. But speaking of what's on the landscape here, I'm really excited to see how, our teams are feeling after that one, but in particular, how the Vicious are going to be feeling into their upcoming matchup. And we'll definitely get that all set up momentarily. I think the Vicious are going to be taking on the rematch a little differently than how they did initially.
Yeah, the Vicious have a few different identities to themselves in terms of team compositions and bans and protects and everything. So excited to see what they bring out tomorrow against Kanga. It is, of course, in the lower bracket, so they don't have any last chances left. They have to take this, either win it and make it to the top 2 and potentially become the champions, or if they lose, they will be taking that 3rd spot for themselves in the Marvel Rivals Ignite tournament.
That's right. We'll see who's going to be able to find their top placement to find the grand prize into the grand final for Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 1 Oceania here. It all comes down to the wire tomorrow. Will we see the Kanga rematch? Maybe 3rd time's the charm there against Ground Zero. Or will we see the Vicious take on Ground Zero? Definitely going to be a nail biter. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat watching those games and seeing who is going to be able to claim the prize there, because it's all or nothing at this point, you know? Will we see the Vicious fail out and be locked into third place? Will we see them take their way up to the grand final for a chance at first or second? It all comes down to this, and I reckon we're going to hear all about it right now, because we have an interview with the Vicious.
Hello.
Adam, congratulations on winning this
Thank
series. You performed absolutely phenomenal as one of the vanguards of the Vicious. And yeah, welcome back to, we saw you in the Invitationals branded as Platinum Star. Now you
Yeah.
are here as the Vicious. And well, how are you feeling about the rematch with Kenga once again?
Oh, we're feeling good about it this time. We didn't play the best yesterday, and I think it showed, but I think this time we play like we normally play in scrims. We're gonna do good.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I guess diving a little deeper into that, what do you think a potential scoreline could be for that series?
Obviously, 3-0 for us, right?
Yep.
Right? Yeah,
Obviously,
I love
obviously.
the confidence. I
Yeah,
love
you
it.
have to-
No,
You need to be a bit more confident, Adam, you know? You're
Yeah.
definitely going to be 3-0ing them, for sure. You know,
Yeah.
they looked pretty strong against you yesterday, and, you know, when you played in the Invitationals, it was a 4-2 scoreline, and it feels like it's fairly close between you two, but Kenga does have that upper match in some of those maps, and you mentioned, you know, if you play like you played in scrims. So without spoiling anything, what have you been doing in scrims that you think will give you an advantage coming into tomorrow?
Not being nervous, I think. I think we don't have much officials, like we don't have much practice in like tournaments, but in scrims we play like very calm, you know. We don't overgo anything. We just do our thing.
No, I definitely can understand that. You know, I think you guys are going to build on that. The more you play these tournaments, the better you will be. So great to hear that. And I guess, yeah, jumping into tomorrow, are we going to see some kind of wild card strategies like what we've seen from some of our other teams? You know, I saw like Black Panther coming out from Kanga. Do you guys have anything, you know, you're going to bring out? You don't have to say what it is. I'm just curious if there's something in the books there.
I think you'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I was hoping you would say something as well, but no, I completely understand wanting to keep your strategies under lock and key. Very wise, because I'm sure Kenga are listening and watching right now. They'll be taking notes, of course, from today's match, but I'm sure you were taking notes as well from their match earlier today. Super excited to see what you both bring out tomorrow. Good luck, and yeah, good luck with your lower bracket run.
Thank you guys.
There you go. So great to hear from Adam there, all the way from the Vicious. Really excited to see what they are going to be able to do heading in to their matchup in the lower bracket tomorrow against Kanga to decide who will be facing off against Ground Zero in the grand final here for Marvel Rivals Ignite Oceania Stage 1. And important to note, everybody, the grand final, it ain't just going to be a best of 5 like what we've seen in our playoffs so far. It's going to be a best of 7. We are going the long haul into that series. And you know what? I want to see all 7 maps. I'm just going to say it. I want to see it go to 7 maps. I reckon that would be the best way to close out this tournament. I want to see it go all the way.
Well, Matt, you will be casting that tomorrow with Liger, so good luck casting 7 home maps, because don't forget as well, we're also having the lower bracket finals to start off the day, starting at 1 p.m. So both you and Liger, as well as the teams, whoever wins that lower bracket final, Kenga Esports or the Vicious, will have to play that best of 5 first, and then straight away hop straight into a best of 7.
That's right. Gonna have to go straight into it. And, you know, we'll see if they're going to be using up all their energy there out of that first series, out of the lower bracket teams, or whether they're going to be more warmed up and fired up. You know, there could be the advantage of playing already, but they could run out of steam. I'm curious to see how the landscape will go. And Let's look at these highlights once again as well. Adam, the player we did get an interview with, was great to see how they were able to navigate that one, and really interested to see how they perform tomorrow as well. You know, it seems like as they get exposed to more official matches, they're starting to build on that calmness, and that does come with time. You know, playing together as a team for a long time, there's definitely a big difference between scrims and the officials there, because, you know, there's more on the line. It's not just that you're trying to practice and trying to perfect your craft. You have to put it to the test there.
Yeah.
And it's definitely going to be tested in the ultimate way tomorrow.
Exactly, it will be tested in the ultimate way, starting off with a best of 5, and then whoever wins that, as we mentioned multiple times, going straight into a best of 7. Not sure what the downtime will be between these two games, but whoo, it's going to be quite a marathon for the lower bracket run. But I'm sure the dreams are alive, the passion is alive for both Kanga Esports and the Vicious, and I'm excited to see it. I'm going to be excited to watch it from bed. Oh, maybe from the computer tomorrow. But what a day we've had today, Matsy.
Oh yeah, what a day we've had. You know, we saw some incredible stuff coming through to kick the day off. 3-1 Ground Zero against Kanga. Kanga took the first map, and then Ground Zero swept it all the way back. You know, we both were predicting a 3-1 scoreline in favor of Ground Zero, and they delivered. They managed to take it all the way there, finally tainting their record with Kanga taking away one map there. But after the fact, they managed to take it with confidence, and it was neck and neck all the way through those maps there. You know, it was incredible stuff, and I'm very curious to see if those teams will face each other again heading towards the grand final tomorrow. And obviously on the other side of things, Bethany losing out at 0-3 against the Vicious there, a repeat of their group stage, and an unfortunate goodbye to Bethany.
Yeah, goodbye to Bethany, who finishes the Ignite tournament in 4th place in that lower bracket run. And as we mentioned, of course, Kanga versus Vicious tomorrow, 1 p.m. Don't be late. It's going to be a fun, exciting time where we get to see Kanga and Vicious fight it out once again. We've seen them in the upper bracket. We saw them in the Invitationals, spiritually having that rematch, and now another rematch. And the grand finals will be followed on tomorrow as well. So it's going to be an absolute banger. Fantastic day of Marvel Rivals.
Oh yeah, this is going to be the end of the road. It's going to be tomorrow from 2 p.m. UTC plus 11, 1 p.m. UTC plus 10. If you are on Australian Eastern Standard Time Zone, there will be our first match, the rematch, Kanga versus the Vicious, and at June 22nd, 4:30 p.m. UTC plus 11 or 3:30 p.m. UTC plus 10 if you're on Australian Eastern Standard Time there. Ground Zero versus the winner of our previous match. Will it be the rematch against Kanga? Will it be the Vicious? We're just going to have to find out, aren't we?
We are going to have to find out, and it's going to be exciting because we haven't seen Ground Zero versus the Vicious before yet either. So if the Vicious win and take themselves to the grand final, it'll be something new, something different, something exciting. But of course, we do love rematches. We love the rivalry drama too. So if Kanga win and bring themselves to the grand finals, that's also super exciting to see that rematch and rematch and rematch. It is definitely going to be a story that is the start of the Marvel Rivals Ignite tournaments.
That it is, but you know what else it's the start of? It's the start of our Twitch drops. They're going to be live with Marvel Rivals Ignite 2025 here. Make sure you watch the selected Twitch channels to earn exclusive rewards, including this one, as the rewards are going to be including a spray nameplate emote and the absolutely gorgeous Magic Will of a Galacta costume. You know, the event is running all the way from June 19th until July 16th at 9 a.m. UTC there. So make sure you get involved. Keep watching those streams and get your Twitch rewards before the time runs out. And speaking of Twitch rewards, I think I just got my costume.
Oh, nice! You better equip that soon. But also, guys, make sure you check out these beautiful skins as well. Charge your might and spark up the battlefield to full ignition. Channel eternal glory and bring on the heat with Iron Fist's Binary Fist and Moon Knight's Phoenix Knight costumes. Embrace the chi and rise from the ashes in style. It is now available, so make sure you guys go and check out these amazing fiery skins.
Couldn't agree with you more there, Ryan. So make sure you check out those absolutely fire costumes as they just keep delivering the goods. You know, shout out to the NetEase team there. The costumes are just beautiful. Every time we see them, it's just incredible. I just love them. You know, I want to get my hands on all the costumes there. I can't wait to see what's on the way through for Season 3, by the way. You know, I've been seeing around the Twitter sphere that Blade woke up. Could that be something around the corner? Who knows? I'm excited to find out, though, just as much as everybody. And we're definitely keen to see what's on the horizon.
Yeah, very keen to see what's on the horizon, what's been cooking up in Marvel Rivals. But not only that, I'm super excited to see what's on the horizon for tomorrow, Matsy. Is going to be an amazing day.
Oh yeah, it certainly is. We've had an incredible day today. Tomorrow is going to bring the heat even more so. And make sure you stay tuned for that one, everybody. It's been an incredible day, and I can't wait to see you there. It's time to say goodbye. Ciao for now, and we'll see ya in the next one.